Welcome. We are live here from our Rumble Studios here in Washington, D.C. Thanks for joining us for our pre-show coverage to Waukesha, Wisconsin, where President Trump is scheduled to speak there about 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock their Central Time. We'll bring that to you live as it happens, and we'll have a double box here shortly to give you an idea of what that looks like. Very busy news day. We'll get to all of the events in Wisconsin and what the president is going to focus on his visit to the Badger State. We'll also take a look at the Biden economy and the very latest figures that are out, not only consumer confidence, but business confidence as well. We'll get into those numbers. Also, a possible motion to vacate. Press conference this morning. You saw it live here on right side in front of the Capitol as Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and Congressman Thomas Massie had a joint press conference in regards to the possible motion to vacate being dropped next week when they resume session, laying out some of the reasons, and we'll go over that a little bit more in this pre-show. Plus, I talked about this a month ago, and this is what the fast food industry was going to do in response to this $22+ an hour minimum wage that set place there in California. Well, I was right. We'll talk about that and how fast food giants are dealing with this massive labor surge. Plus, it's been probably the leading news of the last month or so. What is going on with this college campus chaos that's taking place around this country? We've seen the images on TV. It's dominated social media. Who's behind this? And what could that mean as we move forward to the 2024 election? We'll look at that as well. Plus, President Trump, once again, sitting in a New York courtroom. It's cold. The injustice is definitely on top of him. We'll talk about the very latest coming out of that hush money trial. But first, let's talk about our friends over at the Birch Gold Company. We've been talking about gold. We've been talking about the economy, it seems like, for several years now, ever since the Biden administration has taken over. We've seen exactly what that has done to the U.S. dollar. I spent a couple of days overseas last week, and I can tell you the crisis that's going on here is hurting the entire world with inflation and the devaluation of the dollar. Not just hurts us, but hurts everyone. It can also hurt your savings and investments. Our friends over the Birch Gold Company want to make it real easy to invest in gold, silver, and precious metals. All you have to do is text the words Trump to 989898 for that free information kit to take that first step in investing in gold, silver, and precious metals. Secure your financial freedom through silver, gold, and precious metals. Our friends over at the Birch Gold Group. Text the words Trump to 989898. Here's a statement from President Trump in regards to his visit to the Badger State, Wisconsin. We'll go over historics of what has typically happened in that state, especially coming off the 2020 election. We know some of the discrepancies that we had in that state that was found of various sources, and we'll go into that a little bit later. But the people of Wisconsin are, bearing the brunt of Biden's bad policies. At 18.8%, inflation is stealing $920 a month from the average person living in Wisconsin. Now, that, I would imagine, is much higher when you go to some of these other states that have a much higher cost of living. And this is thanks to Biden's war against Americans' energies and independence. And I would imagine he's going to address that in today's speech about the attack on the energy sector in regards to really fueling a lot of growth there in Wisconsin. Also, Biden was dishonest when he promised he would ensure America, quote, safe from crime and looting. As in 2023, he did on the campaign. We saw what happened during the Summer of Love back in 2020. It's almost like we're seeing it now across college campuses. I think that is done on purpose, and we'll get into a little bit more of that later on. But the bottom line, the Badger State is suffering under Biden and President Trump will once again deliver results and prosperity to the battered state. I don't know if you're taking a look now. We do have a camera crew there in Waukesha that will bring you some looks of this speech today. But he is going to address the economy and crime that has dominated this country ever since that administration has taken over. There's a live look right there at the speech there in Waukesha. Good crowd, as you would expect it. This is a little bit of a smaller event. This is more of a speech, technically not defined as a rally. But as you can imagine, on this afternoon, people are definitely going to turn out and support President Trump as we move closer and closer to Election Day on November 5th. We'll go over some of the historicals on Wisconsin here shortly. But what every American is experiencing right now under this Biden administration is real. And no matter how the Biden administration tries to convince the American people that what you're experiencing is normal, it's normal. It's okay. The economy is good. I just saw a guy the other day on one of the Alphabet channels telling, he was a major CEO of an investment bank, telling the American people that investments are great. The stock market is high, which it is. I think it's founded on false fundamentals. He said the American consumer spending is up, savings is up, consumer business outlook is up. That's what they claim, but the facts will argue different. And we'll go over that here in just a second. And when you look at crime, I don't think any of us can deny that crime in all major cities, which are Democrat-controlled cities, are experiencing a spike in their crime. Gun violence, street violence, petty theft, assault, sexual rape, murder is up across the board. But we have very soft district attorneys, and we have a soft approach on crime. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these crimes continue, because there's just no consequences to any of it. Looting, shoplifting, we've seen what it's done in California as, you've got CVS, Walgreens, Target, to name a few, that have pulled out of some of these cities and some of these locations because they quite honestly can't afford to keep the doors open because of the overwhelming shoplifting that's going on. And of course, that is because there is no consequences for that. That is Biden's America. That is what happens under a Biden administration. That is what happens under a Biden justice system. Well, it's being weaponized, and we'll get into what it's doing to President Trump right now in New York City, but what it's doing to Americans across this country. And so let's take a look at this Biden economy. I'm going to take out some notes here because I think this is interesting to point out what they call the misery index. Now, the misery index is a way to kind of get a heartbeat, a pulse, if you will, on America and how they really feel about things. Not about how much money do you have in the bank account. It doesn't really necessarily measure how much money you make. It measures what's your emotion. How do you feel about the future? How are you feeling right now? Now, when it comes to the economic outlook, this is really interesting. 63% say the economy will get worse. Now, when you say, my goodness, it's gone so far down, I would only hope at this point we can get what's called in the industry a dead cat bounce. It could at least go up a little bit short term before it drops again. But I think a lot of people aren't as optimistic as that. They look at this as it will get worse. So 63% of the people believe that the economic outlook will get worse, and that is based upon how much money they're making and also business consumer. They see the sales, they see their foot traffic, they see the average amount of sale on a product or goods. They see exactly how much is being spent on items, their per ticket item. That is what they base their optimistic or pessimistic view on the economy. Now, if we look at retirement, 53% of Americans feel they are behind on retirement planning and savings. 53%. I would likely think that is probably a little low. I think that amount, or that percentage rather, should be a little bit higher than that. This is the amount of people that can say, look, at the end of the day, when I pay all the bills and I face all the inflation that's gone up, am I able to save for retirement? Am I able to save for the rainy day fund? Am I able to save for my kids' college? Am I able to save for a vacation this summer? Only 53% of Americans say that they are able to do that. Like I said, I think that is the percentage is much higher on Americans that cannot do that. And then emergency funds. We always talk about that rainy day fund, like what happens if you have an unexpected medical emergency or an unexpected car, a vehicle maintenance, or repair that needs to be done. 56% of workers are unable to pay $1,000 in an emergency expense. 56%. Now, think about that for a second. How are they able to save anything in an investment if they're not even able to save $1,000 for an emergency? That would be something that would be not necessarily a retirement fund. That would be, and let's put it in an account. So if we do have an unexpected car repair, new brakes, new tires, what have you, deductible on your insurance, which is unbelievable. And we'll go over some of the rates of how high auto insurance has gone. And if you've got a family with a couple young drivers, you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. Auto insurance is through the roof, but only 56% of the people say they even have $1,000 in the bank account. So when President Biden wants to lecture you about how strong his economy is and how prosperous, I should say, that Americans are living right now, I want you to remember that stat, that only 56% of Americans have $1,000 in an emergency account. They are living paycheck to paycheck. And that is one of the reasons, just one, why President Trump's fiscal policies make sense for all Americans. And then one of the biggest talking points that you see from the radical left is that his tax cuts only benefit the rich. His Trump tax cuts only benefit the upper middle class. And we know that is so far from the truth, that millions of Americans rely on a very conservative tax rate that allows them to take home as much money as possible at the end of the day. We're live here in Washington, D.C. You've got a live look right now at Waukesha, Wisconsin. Obviously, people have turned out today for the speech that is planned at 2 o'clock there, Central Time, 3 o'clock here in D.C. I see Uncle Jam up there in the front, greeting some of them. I would imagine some of the front row Joes as well there. But he will be talking about the economy and taking on this Biden inflation and taking on Biden crime, migrant crime, plaguing this country, a problem that has really started from day one of the Biden administration. Okay, I want to also get into what's called the auto index. Now, this is a way to measure if people are actually going out and buying things like used cars, new cars, how much is it costing them? And we know what the finance charges have gone up quite a lot since the Biden regime has taken over. So let's take a look at the average price of a new car right now. And if you've gone out to buy a new car, drop it in our Rumble chat here. Let us know what you bought, the year, and obviously you may not want to put exactly how much you paid for it, but ask us if it cost you more. I guess that's probably a better question to ask. Did you anticipate spending that much for that car? Put it in the chat. Back in 2019, the average price of a new car was $37,700. That's back in 2019, $37,700. 2023, this past year, or 2 years ago, rather, almost a year and a half ago, $48,300. That is up 28%. So think about that for a second. Under the Biden administration, a new car is costing you almost 30% more. That is a new car. Now, used cars is slightly more than that. 2019, $19,400 was your average price for a new car, for a used car rather. And 2023, $27,000 is your average price for a used car. That is up 39%. Once again, due to I would imagine costs associated to building these cars, but also the finance rates. We have not seen a rate cut in months, several months, years in particular. So you're seeing the finance charges get higher and higher, which hurt Americans. So now this is even, probably more disturbing than anything. Obviously, your home is the biggest investment you can buy. Well, the second largest investment you can buy would be an auto loan. Get this. Auto loan delinquencies right now are at its highest rates since 1994. That means people are falling behind, not 30 days, but 60 and 90 days past their car payments. That is something it's an indicator that Americans, simply can't afford their car payment, which, by the way, the average car payment in this country, and drop us a line in the Rumble chat on what you bought and what you pay if you're so bold to do that. $726 is the average car payment here in America. Now, I remember years ago when I was in radio, and when it hit $500 for the first time, I was absolutely floored. I could not believe that the average car payment in this country was $500. I just thought that was a lot of money. Thought that was an extremely amount of money given the average income of a median household in this country. It represented a large percentage of their salary. Well, now it's $726 a month. I don't see how people are making their payments. Well, according to this research, a lot of them aren't. But that's what you get under a Biden economy, is higher prices on that. Gasoline, we all know that, basically going out of office for President Trump, you're looking at, $1.89 gas. When he left office, and we know the roller coaster gas has been on here of lately. We've seen an incredible surge in the price of gas, and it's gone up, it's gone down, bounces with the season. Now we're going into the summer season. I would imagine you can start to see that go up again, and then right before elections, you'll see that subside, and obviously bring on a little bit of relief to the consumer, which at that point, I would imagine President Biden can boast that he's bringing energy prices down. Now, remember those strategic
invocation.
I'm truly honored and blessed to be here today. It's a surreal moment for me, given my journey. In 1975, my parents, with their 6 children, walked into a United States cargo plane, leaving their beloved war-torn country of Vietnam, and never looked back. Their homeland became a distant memory. I could never have imagined, as a refugee child, that almost 50 years later, I would be representing millions of Vietnamese people living the American dream. This is an example of the greatness of our country. I now understand why my dad would describe the United States as heaven on earth. It is true, in America, all things are possible. I stand before you today as a proud American while honoring my Vietnamese heritage. It is a privilege for me to lead you in prayer today. Please bow your head with me. Oh, Heavenly Father, we come before you today with great praise. For you alone are God. We exalt and hallow your name. You have been our help in ages past, and we acknowledge you today that you are our only hope for times to come. We thank you for your mercies and your kindness. Yet, we see our country in great peril, and we are in desperate need of your help. We recognize that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this age. And so, we call on you today and ask you to grant President Trump wisdom and discernment, strength and resolve to lead the return of our magnificent country to be that shining city on a hill. You have said in your word that righteousness exalts a nation. O Lord, raise up among us men and women who will commit to restoring our nation to the principles and ideals of our founding fathers. And, if it be your will, raise up President Trump to lead this compelling mission. May you stir the hearts of the citizens across this great land to yearn for true justice to govern our nation. We ask that you put a hedge of protection around President Trump and deliver him from the baseless attacks and remove from office those who are subverting justice in our legal system. We thank you for hearing our prayers today. In Jesus' name, amen. And for my Vietnamese, thank you. And for my Vietnamese community, xin thương đế ban phước cho nước Hoa Kỳ. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Army veteran Joe Krupa to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jenny Teal to sing our national anthem.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage businessman Mike Lindell.
Thank you, Wisconsin. God bless you all. I know a lot of you are out in the parking lot and you probably see me getting attacked by a journalist out there. Well, You guys, and I thank you for all trying to get involved there, but this is how we get the word out. And I want to tell you, I've had to learn this going back all the way to the 2020 election, which I think was probably the most important election in history. And I say that now because what it's manifested to. Here we are 3 years later, and all the things we have found with our election platforms and everything else, and the uniparty Republicans that have been revealed. But we also, the last 3 years, when I was talking to our real president the other day, we know who that is, right? There's two things going on that are historical. This has been a battle of biblical proportions between good and evil. And one of the things that's going on is that you have this bucket of common sense that is our real president, Donald Trump, right? And people are pouring in from both sides as he gets attacked viciously, something that's an anomaly in history. It's being watched from around the world. And as they attack him, he's able to get the word out that, hey, I'm standing firm. He's the most courageous person I've ever met in my life, by the way. People ask me where I get my energy. I get it from God, but I also get it. He's a perfect example of what courage should be, and I watch that every day. And when we talk is as he gets attacked, people are pouring into this bucket that once you're in that bucket of common sense, you have no reason to leave that bucket. People are on to this indictment and false hoaxes and all these things, these fake news, just like that journalist out there. He tried to bring me back to 2020 going, you want to overturn the 2020 election? I go, no, I want to secure our election platform so we have elections and not selections. And I'll tell you, so I tell you this, and then there's another bucket going on out there. When things are going bad, people look for God then. They don't look to God when things are going good. So we have two things going on. We're in the greatest revival for Jesus Christ in history. Okay? And when I go around this country and I talk to churches and I'm talking to people out there, I said, if you can't help people now or get people to God now, you're in the wrong business if you're a pastor out there, because they're looking for hope, and that is our hope, and it's Jesus Christ. And here's another thing that what I really want to get across to all of you. We're in a time we get one shot at this election, and we're in an anomaly in history in one respect that you're pouring into this bucket of common sense. This is the one time you can go out and evangelize. When I say evangelize, where you can go out to, talk to people about coming to God, but also you can go out and talk to your Democrat friends. This isn't about just getting everybody to go vote that's Republican. I think we're well aware everybody's got to vote. But you should be able to win any argument now to pull people over. That my own family, it's taken till now to all the destruction in our country, where they're pouring into this bucket now. And I had a lot of Democrats and liberals in my own company. They've all come over now. They're voting for Donald Trump. So this is a time, everyone here, you need to go out and you need to find everybody you know and never stop talking about this common sense bucket of Donald Trump. We can get Democrats, Republicans, we're all people, and this is us against the politicians, this uniparty that's out there. People have seen the destruction of our country now with the open borders and everything. And one of the things I've been doing is going and talking to Democrats. You'd be surprised. All the ones that I've talked to that voted for Biden are voting for Donald Trump. So don't wake up on November 6th and say, I could have done more. You need to do it all right now, each and every person in this country. This is about the humanity. This is the future for our grandchildren, children. This is the hope. Like Ronald Reagan said, if the lights go out here in the United States, they go out around the world. Everywhere around the world, they're praying for our great real president, Donald Trump. Thank you, guys. God bless you, and we will win this. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Chairman of the Republican Party of Wisconsin, Brian Schimming.
Everyone, are you happy to be here today? Are you excited to be here today? I can't hear you, people. I can't hear you. Are you excited to be here in Waukesha, Wisconsin today, where we will send a message across all 50 states? We are here to make America great again. Now, Wisconsin, here's a number for you. Wisconsin has had 12 races in 24 years. Think about this. 12 races in 24 years that have been decided by less than 30,000 votes in a state of 6 million people. So literally everything that we do matters, every single one of us here. But I got news for you, people. We have a lot of jobs to do. We have to put up signs. We have to call our neighbors. We have to talk to our friends. We have to be on social media. We have a lot of jobs to do between now and November 5th. But if you do your job, and you do your job, and you do your job, and you do your job, on November 5th, Joe Biden will be out of a job. Now we know that we can do it. Thanks to you, literally, thanks to the people in this room, on April 2nd, there will be no more Zuckerbucks in Wisconsin. That's the kind of work, that's the kind of, on the Zuckerbucks issue, on dozens of local races, conservatives flipped 7 county boards in this state. So we know that we can do it. We know we can do it. And I will say to you that we're running out of time in this country. Everyone's seen what's going on the campuses in this country right now? We're running out of time. So the opportunity for us to send a message that Donald J. Trump is the person to lead this country in the next 4 years will be sent from Wisconsin. Let's go do it, everybody. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Waukesha County Executive Paul Farrow.
How's everyone doing? Welcome to Waukesha County. You know, I'm sitting here and I got to follow Brian. I'm like, now I got to get fired up. I need more Mountain Dew. So I want to tell you one thing to think about. Immigration. We have a unique situation right now where we can look back at records. We can look back under Donald Trump and see how he secured the border, how he started to shut it down. And now we can look at Joe Biden. You want a really interesting stat? 5.5 to 6 million people live in Wisconsin. Joe Biden has let more than twice as many people come into this country than live in Wisconsin in the last 3 years. How does that impact us here in Waukesha County? We are a county border when you think about it. Our borders are down in the south. We have a fentanyl issue here. We have human trafficking issues here. We have crime that's here. We need to get a hold of that. And we have the person who can do it because he's got a proven track record on it. That's what we have to work for. That's what we have to fight for. As Brian talked about, it's up to you. But I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. Vote early. I know it's not our typical, we like to go on the day of. But we are going to get hammered by out-of-state money. They're going to flood every single election that we have. If we get out and vote early, that means our dollars can be targeted to those that haven't voted yet. It's great. I got an ear infection, so I can't hear them. We have to fight with everything that we can do to get every person to the polls on November 5th. So I'm going to ask you one question. Are you ready to put a president back in the White House who's going to fight to close our borders? Are you going to fight to put a president back in the White House who's going to keep our families safe from fentanyl, drugs, and human trafficking? Are you guys ready to turn Wisconsin red again? So let me ask you the last question. Who are you voting for on November 5th? Who? Who? Let's get Donald Trump back in the White House.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Waukesha mom and activist Amy Richards.
Good morning. You all look so beautiful out there in all the blue and red. I love it. I'm here today as a wife, a mother, a school board member, and a voting woman. I don't feel like a woman. I don't identify as a woman. I am a woman. And to the Biden administration, if you didn't like moms and dads talking at school board meetings over the last couple of years, you're certainly not going to like what we have to say about you erasing our girls and threatening our schools with changes to Title IX. It's elimination without representation. Joe, I have 4 words for you. We will not comply. I've been asked today to share my perspectives on Biden's greatest achievement in office. Inflation. Families are making difficult choices. We all feel it. Under America First policies, our nation experienced low unemployment, increasing wages, reasonable prices at the gas pump and the grocery store. We had enough left over for family vacations and the ability to actually get onto the housing ladder. Under Bidenomics, we are enduring a 40-year high in basic costs. Americans aren't just sharing pain at the gas pumps. More young adults are living at home. If you have kids who should be flying away from the nest right now, you know what I'm talking about. They can't afford to get on the housing ladder. They can't afford rent. That means they can't become independent. And Americans love their independence. In our local school district, the cost of transportation just to get kids into classrooms has risen by over $400,000. And we are about a medium-sized district. Utilities have jumped by over $100,000 in the first 3 years of Biden's term. And of course, the price of a hot lunch is going up. I guess Biden did actually make good on one of his promises to the American people. He has united us as a nation under inflation because it hits all of us. It doesn't matter where you live or the size of your house or the size of your paycheck. Inflation is a cancer on your financial security and on your standard of living. It makes the American dream feel much more like an American grind. People are broke. Middle-class families are choosing between basic needs and extra opportunities that they know are good for their kids. Too many kids are growing up fearful about losing their home or where their next meal will come from. One of my friends, and this is a single child household, told me that her grocery bill is up $500 a month. Another one of my friends was talking about shopping in the Biden economy, and she said, quote, "Buying food for your children should not instill anger." It really shouldn't. But since it does, I say, let's get angry. Let's get angry at how Biden's policies have hurt American families. Inflation isn't just about increased cost. It's about decreased power. The power to buy what you need, the power to invest in your kids' future, the power to choose more time spent with your family than spent at your job, the power to stand on your own 2 feet rather than relying on government, the power to walk away from a bad boss or an abusive relationship. I urge everyone to think about the power that your vote can give back to the American people. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote to return to economic growth and prosperity, putting the power back into the hands of Americans of every creed, color, and class. You have the power to put this country pointed back in the right direction. Thank you for your time. God bless Wisconsin, and God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Wisconsin business owner Shaina Gray.
Greetings, everyone. I'm going to start with a quote by Albert Einstein. To do multiple things or the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is complete insanity. And I say that as a proud Milwaukeean, born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and now a business owner. What I've seen in this last administration is quite terrifying. And I say that because if we do not change what we are doing now, or change this current administration under the Biden administration, we will be those very insane people. And I say this as a business owner that has taken on the effects of all of the changes under the Biden administration, from inflation of cost, of trying to operate my business. I'm terrified if I'll be able to keep operating under this administration. Just recently, I had a migrant come into my cafe that recently passed through the borders and paid for their food with one of the prepaid cards they were given. How is that as a slap in the face, as a proud American who worked hard just like each one of you, and to be affected by the food costs, utility costs, to have someone just come and just willy-nilly pay for their food in my cafe with prepaid dollars that was funded by us. I say that again to say this: to continue to do the same thing that we are doing in this current administration is complete insanity. So we must change. So we have So I stand here in solidarity with you all to say November 4th, let's change. Let's make that change. Let's put Trump 2024 in office. Let's make America great again.
Lindell kicking it off, opening up and saying, look, this bucket of common sense, and we often talk about that a lot. And now, because people that might have been agnostic to politics before see exactly what's happening to our country, and well, they fall in that bucket of common sense, and they see exactly what policies are best for them. You're taking a shot right now. Great look at the crowd there. Many familiar faces that you've seen before at these speeches, and President Trump is scheduled to take the stage there at 2 o'clock local time. I do got a quick preview of his speech. It's exactly kind of what we thought based upon his press release. Going to Waukesha, he's going to focus on this Biden America that we live in right now, the inflation, the Biden crime that's taking over, migrant crime that's taking over our cities, looting many of our businesses, forcing a lot of businesses to shut down, inflation causing people to go into a deep personal recession. And we went over some of the finances under the Biden economy. Now, a couple of ones that really stuck out myself was not only the average car payment, which years ago was $500. And I thought that was an incredible amount at that time. But now at $726 a month is the average car payment here in America, with the average new car going up 28% and the average pre-owned car going up almost 40%. So those are two items that are costing Americans more to buy. And we were talking offline during this speech, and it seems like a lot of people are falling into debt. And we've got a great new sponsor. I'll get into him in just a second. But that is one of the reasons why this Biden economy is causing Americans to fall further and further in debt because of the inflationary rate on items. And then it costs more to finance them. So obviously you're paying more for that. I do have what's called the breakfast index. Now, these are the things that many of you wake up, got a family, got to get the kids off to school, fix breakfast, pack a lunch, get your day going. Let's go over some of the numbers of what it costs you to get out the door. Milk is up 12.3% since Biden took office. Eggs are up 100%, so it's double. It's pretty much Keystone, those bad boys, since Biden. And coffee's up 30%, bread's 29%, bacon 13.3%, and oranges 16.3%. So if you look at what it costs you to just wake up and have breakfast before you even start your day, there you have it right there. It looks like a combined, maybe an average in the mid-20s combined, all of those items. And then you talk about getting in the car. It's costing you more to operate your car. It's costing you more to fill it up with gas. It's costing you more to insure your car. We'll get into that in just a second. It's costing you more to live under this Biden economy. And that is exactly what President Trump is going to discuss today there in Waukesha, Wisconsin. We do have a new partner for today's broadcast, and they call it, if you've been caught in debt traps, which a lot of Americans are being caught in these, what they call debt trap, it isn't your fault, okay? This is designed to keep you further and further in debt. And you know what? When you start putting gas, food on your credit card, that not only causes your balances to go up, but then your interest rates on those credit cards are extraordinary. So it's costing you more than you think. That is called debt trap, and it will destroy your life, and it's very hard to get out of. Millions of Americans struggle with this, and many of you are watching me right now, and I want us to have kind of a heart-to-heart talk right now. And I'm with you on this because I know several people that fall in this trap, and we have all done it. But I recommend that you be done with debt. Now, done with debt is a brilliant debt relief strategist. First, they stand between you and your bill collector. So stop the annoying phone calls with the anxiety of trying to basically negotiate your way out of your debt. They'll do it without bankruptcy and without taking out additional loans. They are the professionals of this. But listen, some of these strategies are time sensitive right now, so we need you to act. If you want to get out of debt and debt has got a stranglehold over you, go to donewithdebt.com. I'm done. You're donewithdebt.com. Information is on your screen. Take advantage of the fact that they'll help you get out of debt, these high interest credit cards that are keeping your balances way up there, and you're not allowed to get them back down to zero. Go check it out. donewithdebt.com. All right, live look there, Waukesha, Wisconsin, waiting for President Trump to take the stage. Coming up at around 2 o'clock their local time. He is going to talk about the economy. He's going to talk about Biden inflation. We went over some of the things earlier, and we'll get into that here in just a second. Wisconsin, when you look at the state of Wisconsin, it is what we consider a swing state. It's a very important state in this election. And, when you see the polling numbers, recent polling obviously has Trump beating Biden head to head in every state, even the swing states. So it's important to point out that although you see the polling favoring in Trump's position, it is very important, and President Trump often talks about this, to get out like we're 30 points down. Get out like we're literally in the 2-minute warning and we're down by 10, and we've got to put some points on the board. But it is very encouraging that people in Wisconsin, the Badger State, are waking up and realizing that the policies under Joe Biden, the fiscal policies, the domestic policies, and even what he's doing in terms of war are not good for this country. And they're dragging us down. And we're seeing more independence. I just saw today that Trump will be speaking here in Washington, D.C. at the Libertarian Convention. I think it's what it's called. So I very applaud that move. That's such a smart move there to get with some of these other party-related people that not necessarily maybe would have voted for a conservative, for someone like President Trump, but now due to what's going on in the fiscal policies, he definitely will get those voters. Now, that's a good shot right there. You're looking at a double box there that obviously a fan of President Trump down there with the front row Joes. Good camera work there by Denver, who is on site there. Also, big news happening today on the Hill as Congressman Thomas Massie and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene held a press conference today to roll out the reasons behind a possible motion to vacate on Speaker Johnson. Now, they laid out their reasons why, and obviously, a lot of them had to do with Speaker Johnson's willingness to, not only work with Democrats, which I think we can all agree that we all need to work together for a common goal, but just to give the Democrats in the Biden agenda, and really the continuation of the Nancy Pelosi House, the CR, and just give it away with nothing in return for Republicans. And this is the same speaker that has not only funded the weaponized Department of Justice and the FBI, but has also signed off on a new construction for a new facility. So, looks like we got some speakers going to the podium. Let's listen in there. Well, maybe not. We'll keep an eye on that there in Waukesha. But when you take a look at what Speaker Johnson has done, it was against the funding of the war in Ukraine and rejected a $300 million when he was not Speaker. And then, of course, now he's approved $61+ billion to go to the Ukraine, something that's very much against the base and what the base wants. And then, of course, with the warrants, the warrant, the FISA, all of that surrounding the injustices that has happened against Americans, Speaker Johnson, time and time again, has, in my opinion, and many of you watching right now, has really let down the Republican Party, that we have a responsibility right now to get that house in order so that when President Trump comes into office of January of 2025, he is going to a Congress, a Republican-held Congress with the majority, God willing, in the Senate, that will promote his agenda and get things done. That is priority number one. It is to make sure that all the hard work right now President Trump is doing on the road and winning over the American people, that we have the right leadership in Congress, Republican leadership, that can make sure this America First agenda is pushed forward. And that's exactly what this effort is by Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie. And so I'm thinking we're going to see a vote next week. I don't know the day, and we'll see how that turns out. Now, so if you want to get involved with that, I know that was one of the last questions at the press conference, was to simply contact your representative and ask them, do they stand with Speaker Johnson, or do they support the motion to vacate? And it really comes down to, do you support the funding of foreign wars, or do you support the America First agenda? And that is one of the things that Speaker Johnson largely has caved on. Talking about accomplishments, can't say enough about President Trump. He has done so much for this country. He has done so much for all Americans. There's a book that you can read all about it. FreeTrumpBook.com. FreeTrumpBook.com is the website. Information there is on your screen. Great illustration of all the accomplishments President Trump has done. Easy to read. I recommend you get it for your grandkids, your kids. Drop one off at the church, local school. Go check it out. FreeTrumpBook.com. Great publication there. It's absolutely free. Now, you do have to pay a small shipping and handling fee, but nevertheless, that is one great way to spread the accomplishments of President Trump. We're live here in Washington, D.C. at our Rumble Studios, and we've got to look now at also Waukesha, Wisconsin. We're on there. We'll have it for you. We'll all come back here in a couple minutes as we are live here in Washington, D.C., awaiting President Trump there in Wisconsin. Few minutes. We'll be right back.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I'm the host of the Let It Be Heard show here on RSBN channel. I would love for you guys to check me out. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Rumble, YouTube. We release episodes every single week regarding culture, Bible, social issues, politics, current events, anything. So if you're into any of that stuff, I highly recommend you check me out. God bless you guys, and stay safe out there.
I'm excited to announce we're having a huge MyPillow spring sale, and here's a few examples. Buy one of our MyPillow 2.0s, you get another MyPillow 2.0 absolutely free. Made with cooling technology, the best pillow ever just got even better. And this just in, 9 brand new colors and styles of our Percale bed sheets. They're made with the finest long staple cotton, and now you can save 50% or more. That's as low as $24.98. And for the first time this year, I'm bringing you our My Slippers and Sandals for as low as $25 a pair. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your MyPillow 2.0s. Buy one, get one free. Percale sheets as low as $24.98. My slippers and sandals as low as $25 a pair. And for a limited time, when you order $75 or more, your entire order ships absolutely free.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, tvOS, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.
Hey friends, pro-life leader Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Great to be with you for another Trump rally. One of the most important things President Trump reminds us is, it is not just he who is running for 47th President of the United States. It is we. This is a movement. It is about restoring power to the American people. You know, whatever the radical left complains about us doing, it's because it's what they are doing. When they try to call President Trump a Hitler or dictator, it's because they on the radical Democrat left are the ones trying to accumulate all the power. President Trump wants to give the power back to us. Listen, if you want hard-hitting commentary on the political developments of our times, rooted in the Word of God and covered in prayer, join me every weeknight on RSBN at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the program Praying for America. And we will get into this very, very deeply. I know many of you are already avid watchers and listeners of the program. Join me for Praying for America every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to win this election. We're going to save this country, and we're going to do it by God's almighty grace. Pro-life leader Frank Pavone here. God bless you all.
Welcome back. We are live here in Washington, D.C. at our Rumble studios. Big shout out to our partners at Rumble for allowing me to once again to come in this beautiful studio. Love it. May take a hard time to get me out of here. I enjoy it so much. Thanks for our friends over at Rumble. You got a live look right now, double box there on the side of your screen. Waukesha, Wisconsin, waiting President Trump to take the stage at around 2 o'clock their local time. We'll have that for you when he comes out. But in the meantime, looking ahead, we'll get into some of the Bidenomics, because President Trump will talk about the economy quite a bit during this speech and how it's really affecting every American. But he'll also talk about crime as well. We talked about the motion to vacate happening earlier on the Hill. That's big news. Also, a couple months ago, I had a theory on why and what would happen once these minimum wage got to $20 an hour plus in California, and what that might lead to. Some of you guys call me crazy, and you might be right on that, but I was right on this, and I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. Plus, what in the hell is going on these college campuses, and who is behind a lot of the chaos that we're seeing? Who's behind it in terms of funding these professional instigators? And Mayor Eric Adams there in New York, which, by the way, I'm headed there tomorrow. We'll have more on that, said earlier that some of these instigators at these universities may not be students. They may be paid activists sent out to do just that, disrupt. We'll get more about that here in just a second. But first, let's look at Bidenomics by the number. Inflation is a tax on all Americans. We can't get away from it. It's what we are consumers, right? Our society is built on, it's capitalism, it's marketplace. We go out, we have a job, we earn money, we pay taxes, we pay a lot of taxes. Some of us pay more than probably we should. Some don't pay enough. Different conversation. But we all buy goods and services. And what inflation does is it tax on how much more we have to pay for those goods and services. So let's go over some numbers here. Now, these are facts here. This is not things that no one's making this up. This comes from the government here. Inflation is a tax on everyone. We know this. When Biden took office, inflation was just at 1.4%. 1.4%. And some would say that's a very healthy inflationary rate. Okay, it not only does it cause a healthy growth in the economy to a certain extent, but 1.4% is not out of the it's still in the green zone, I would say. But since Biden has took office, the inflationary rate has risen by. Now, if I was to say 5%, you'd say, it's not too bad. 6%, it's not too bad. 10%, well, we're getting up there. 19.4% is what inflationary inflationary rate has risen to 19.4%. So, and that's what the government reports. Now, I would say it's much higher. The actual inflationary rate is much higher, depending on what it is. It's much higher. Well, I'll give you a great example. I mean, it's costing 100% more for eggs than it was when President Trump was in office. So that's obviously more than 19.4. Electricity is up 29.2%. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, we're coming off a relatively mild winter. So many of you that were maybe anticipating a more than, costly monthly, fee to heat your home, you didn't necessarily see it. But now we're going into summer. And summer months typically are hot. And here in the South, Mid-Atlantic, many places up north, obviously, you've got some huge AC bills coming. Now, if you look at 29.2% electricity, you're obviously going to run that AC more. But here's also what you got to look at. If this push for this green new energy, this electric car push that's often, lectured to us by the left, and President Trump often talks about it as well. Can you imagine if we have, maybe 20% more people on the grid trying to charge the cars, what that rate would be? Like, it's already costing you almost 30% more to use electricity, but you're going to put more people on the grid, which puts more strain on the grid, which, it's a supply and demand type of situation. I think you're looking at energy prices going way up as far as electricity. Food prices up 21.1%, eggs up, 100% there. Baby food up 30%. Remember we had a shortage of baby food? That was in the very beginning of the Biden administration. We couldn't find baby formula. Everyone was looking around for baby food. I mean, it was a big deal. Moms were camping out. Moms were giving up tips on social media of how to go, where to find this formula and how to get it and how many you could buy and ration it out. Bizarre what was happening. Sugar up about 30%. Cookies up 26%. Poultry, chicken up 24%. Pet food up 23%. Snacks 22%. Coffee about 19.6%. Here's what's interesting. Real average weekly wages are down 3.9% since Biden took office. So not only is it costing you more to buy all this stuff, but you're going to make about 4% less than you did. Food away from home, that would be your dining. I don't believe this at all, but this says 4.2%. I think it's much higher than that, especially now you throw in this minimum wage that we've seen in California, and you see what your Happy Meal, for lack of a better example, what it costs you, and a combo meal somewhere is absurd. We saw the receipt weeks ago go around social media with Five Guys burgers and fries, which I'm a fan of Five Guys. I think they're a great company. But when you go to Five Guys, be prepared to drop some money, because if you want a hamburger, fries, and a drink, maybe get a hamburger, fry, and a good old chocolate shake, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you about double what it did under the Trump administration. So, and I think that's very important to point out, that a lot of this out of home type of out of home type of dining does hit a certain income level in our country and affects them the most. People that don't necessarily cook at home, they kind of live. The food deserts is what you've heard, where there's not a lot of grocery stores. So they've got to go to the fast food route, which is the healthiest route, but then it costs them more to do that. So it does have a health impact on that. We'll get more into this list, but first, let's talk about our friend Mike Lindell. We kicked off that pre-program there in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Great patriot, friend of all of ours, really. I remember after the election, he was the first person to call me and tell me that, what he saw after the election didn't really add up. And so he become this great patriot that we all know and love. But before he did that, he was just a guy that had a great product. MyPillow.com/RSBN. MyPillow.com/RSBN is a website. Go to it. Put that special code in there, and you'll receive up to 66% off. You can receive even more than that on certain products. You can also go to mystore.com as well. Now, the reason why I want you to take the time to go to their website right now is a lot of kids are going off to college. I've got two. I got one going to college for the first time, and I've got another one that's in college for like the third year. And every time they move, we've got to buy new stuff. If you're moving into a dorm, I'm just telling you right now, I'm going to save you a lot of time. I'm going to save you a lot of hearing a lot of complaints. Go ahead and order a mattress topper right now for your kid that's going into a dorm. I can guarantee you that mattress sucks, and they're going to want to lay on something a little bit more comfortable. So go check it out, mypillow.com/RSBN, and pick up a mattress topper. Don't forget about your pets as well, dog beds, all that good stuff, slippers. It's all there. mypillow.com/RSBN. The information for that is on your screen. Okay, so we've got food up. We got all that stuff. Let's talk about motor vehicle repair. Now, this falls in that category of emergency funding. And many of you, I think it was 53% of Americans did not even have $1,000 in savings for an emergency fund. And that's just not you having to go to the doctor, even though that's nice if you do have emergency fund, you don't have health insurance, you need that money. But if you all of a sudden find out that you need a new set of tires, or the transmission went out, or maybe you have some engine problems, maybe you go to register your car again because it's out of registration, it's got to be inspected, and they smog it, depending on what state you live in and what county really in these states. Some of them do a safety check, some of them do a smog check. But if you live in a big city, chances are you get a smog check and it fails. Or you have that check engine light come on. It's going to cost you more money to fix that car. And that emergency fund that you put aside, that $1,000, is going to go like that. So auto repair is up big time. Auto insurance is up. Now, if there was a soapbox here in the studio, I'd get on it right now, because I am pissed off at what's going on in the insurance industry right now in terms of benefits for users, the rates per month, and the overall coverage. It's horrible. Even if you do not have any blemish on your record, even if you've never got a speeding ticket, you've never had an accident, whether it was your fault or somebody hit you, your rates will go up because of what's happening in our economy. Because it's a law of averages, and there's actuators that have, they have the stats that so many people are going to get in a wreck. It's going to cost X amount of dollars to repair those. If they have any type of physical injury, it's going to take X amount of dollars to treat those people. So those costs are passed on to you, whether or not you've been a good driver or not. And I think that is something that a lot of people don't talk about. I just don't think they talk about it enough. that what's going on in the auto industry and insurance-wise is killing Americans. So yes, it's affecting you to buy the car, maintain the car, and insure the car. Why? Because Bidenomics does not work. And what he's doing is destroying this country. In the meanwhile, they're going to tell you that everything is fine, that the Bidenomics is working. The average monthly U.S. housing payment hit an all-time high of $2,747. Now, that was your housing payment. That might be your mortgage payment. Under the Trump administration, that payment was much less. Obviously, interest rates were lower. Your products, your materials to build new construction was much lower than it is right now. So it's costing you more to do that. Now, the average 30-year mortgage rate went from 2.99% to over 7.1%, and that's April of 2024. So that's quite a jump there. Hey, if you're just now joining us, we're live here in Washington, D.C. at Rumble Studios. You've got a live look right now at Waukesha, Wisconsin, waiting for President Trump to take the stage there and speak to, it looks like a pretty rather large crowd there this afternoon. Good to see that in Wisconsin, very important state, the Badger State, as we move into the this election season. And, November 5th, in my opinion, can't get here any quicker, because we have seen exactly what this Biden administration has done. President Trump will talk a lot about that as we go on to not only tonight, but also following this. This is kind of a triple header today. We started the day off live in front of the Capitol with a special press conference with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey as they rolled out their reasons why Speaker Johnson should not no longer be Speaker. The vote for that will be next week. We'll see exactly what happens there. Then, of course, we have today, Waukesha, Wisconsin, live there. And then Vanessa Broussard and Scott DeFalco will be live in Michigan. Following these remarks, President Trump is on the plane going to Michigan to no less have a rally there. We'll keep an eye on that for you. And as soon as it's over, we'll kick our coverage over to Vanessa and Scott, who will carry it from there. Also, programming note, and this was just in the last hour or so, I will be on the ground tomorrow in New York City with President Trump as he is going to make a surprise visit somewhere in the city. I still at this point don't know, and I kind of like that I don't know. It's like to have it unfold with you guys as it does. And I often get a lot of people come up to me and say, man, I love it when you're on the ground chasing Trump. And that's the way they describe it, that you're on the ground chasing Trump. And I say, I have to correct them and say, I'm not chasing him. Not chasing him. We're with Trump. If I was chasing him, I'm sure I would be taken out by Secret Service. But it's fun. It's a great broadcast. So tune in tomorrow. I don't have an exact time on that. It'll be tomorrow afternoon, probably around late afternoon. Stay tuned to our social medias for all of those specific times as President Trump, it's just, he's in court. This sham of a trial, this misdemeanor that is already out of the statute of limitations has been magnified into something that it's not. And the crime that has happened that didn't happen, victims all of a sudden that never were victims. This is just another example of this weaponization of the Biden administration. This is election interference. This is all it is. But and it's got to be painful to sit in that courtroom every single day, listening to this judge, listening to, to the prosecutors and just hearing all of this garbage and sitting in probably a very uncomfortable courtroom all day, knowing that the people that you're looking at right now in Waukesha, Wisconsin, wishes that you were in front of them talking about how you're going to make America great again, how you're going to save this country. But instead, the Democrats and these corrupt judges and corrupt district attorneys are going after a former president about nothing. literally about nothing. And that's just one example. We've still got cases that will go on the entire summer. We'll have all those for you. Before I get into my next topic, I do want to talk about this book, freetrumpbook.com. It is an awesome guide that really recaps all the accomplishments of President Trump. And I could stay here all day and talk about what he did for this country, and I have a list of it right here, right? Or you can order this book. It's a kind of abbreviated guide, if you will. freetrumpbook.com, freetrumpbook.com. You got to pay a small shipping and handling fee, which is about normal. And then it's going to be a great, excellent way to read all of the things that he did, great illustrations that's laid out. So if you got a young grandson, child, anything like that, order this book, freetrumpbook.com. Taking a look at a couple front row Joes up there, which is nice. We see those guys just about at every rally. We see those guys out on the trail as well. Also, I said this earlier about consumer debt. If you want to be done with debt, I got it for you. Donewithdebt.com. Donewithdebt.com. Please do not allow these high interest rates. And if you're spending your credit cards on everyday things like food, like gas, and as these interest rates go up, it's going to crush you. Don't allow that to happen. Our friends over at Done With Debt are brilliant debt relief strategists that can help you negotiate between what you owe and with these companies. So don't try to do it on your own. They are professionals. They know exactly what to do. Just get a free consultation. It's easy to do, and they'll share their ideas. They'll listen to you, find out what you're struggling with, what you need to do, and they'll lead you in the right direction. Donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. We just saw a few minutes ago where it was the what was it? We didn't have $1,000 in the account for an emergency fund. Well, that just says they're so far in debt that you don't even have $1,000 aside in case something happens. Get out of that situation. Donewithdebt.com. Donewithdebt.com. Okay, I'm going to check my phone real quick to see if we have any updates on today. Let's see here. Looks like we might be just about on time for that. Okay, so what is going on with these college campuses? We've been seeing over the last week or so, really over the last month. The last time I was in New York City, there was a protest there at Wall Street. It was a clash between pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian people, and then Israeli, pro-Israel. It was kind of what you've seen, the demonstrations from the pro-Palestinian cause is very vocal. They're very animated. They got the drums. They got the chants. I don't know how they find time to rehearse all these things, but they have these ringleaders. They always have a point person that has the megaphone. They're able to post up somewhere, call their chants, organize this whole thing, right? And then there's always like a fringe element to it. There's always like a frontline people that are really not just singing the songs and chanting, all of these, apparently they're like almost songs, but there's a fringe element to it. And those are the guys on the front line that are fighting the other people. Well, we've seen the video last night. You saw what happened on the UCLA campus. We saw what happened on the USC campus. We've seen what happened in Columbia. We've seen what happened across the country. And now Mayor Eric Adams is now coming to the conclusion that maybe some of these people may not be students. Some of these people that are typically completely concealed from head to toe. And so when you go to a college campus without this conflict, you never saw these individuals walking around like that. But then all of a sudden, there's this major conflict, and they've got the headgear on, the mask, the helmets, the body armor, and all that good stuff. So now Mayor Eric Adams says, you know what, these are professionals that are instigating a lot of this violence. And so maybe they need to take a look at that. Well, I would say, yes, you do. Because last night in UCLA, overnight, 1,000 for almost an hour. There was a riot, full-fledged riot, violence taking place on that campus of UCLA with zero police presence at all. Zero respondents from police, not campus police, not the city of Los Angeles. I mean, zero. Now, if you would have taken that violence that was going on and you move it 250 yards the other way onto a city street, not a part of the university, but city streets, I wonder then if the LAPD would show up. But this nonsense has got to stop. I think it's a big distraction to what's really going on in our country. This goes on with the Summer of Love that we saw with the BLM riots, the Antifa chaos that really every summer something happens. It's some type of distraction to get our mind off of all of the things that are horrible going on in the world, especially here domestically, that's affecting millions of Americans. But we get caught up in the emotion of this. So as we move forward, I want you to pay close attention when these outbreaks happen at these universities. I want you to take a look at who's there. And then ask yourself, could those people been a part of January 6th? Could some of those instigators that are on these college campuses causing chaos, could they have gone to the Capitol on January 6th and caused havoc? Good question. I think I know the answer because, well, I was there broadcasting. I know exactly what I saw on the front lines on January 6th. I saw exactly who was breaking windows. I know exactly who was wearing black body armor, headscarves, helmets, pickaxes. I saw exactly what was going on. So I think that there is a larger funded purpose going on, and it is to disrupt this country and take us down from the inside. To take us down from the inside. We'll get more than that here in just a second. I want to talk about our friends over at the Birch Gold Group. Yeah, the market's been up. Don't know why. I don't think the fundamentals are there. We saw the indexes, the consumer index, that it basically is, there's not confidence in small businesses. So I don't know where this growth is coming from. But there's one way you can secure your future. That is with our friends over the Birch Gold Group. Just text the words Trump to 989898 for your free information kit. They'll send it straight to you. They are the experts in gold, silver, and precious metals. They got an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. We've gotten thousands of trusted of our viewers have turned to the Birch Gold Group, and they want to help you. So don't live in this perpetual state of anxiety on whether or not the economy is going to crash and you're going to lose your investments again. If you did that back in 2008 and you weren't able to save as much, now we're seeing that kind of correction coming. Birch Gold Group, text the words Trump to 989898. That is the Birch Gold Group. That was a good shot here earlier. The lady with the cheese on her head. Little nod to the Green Bay Packers, which is nice. The last time I was in Wisconsin, I was in Green Bay, and Vanessa Broussard and myself had a little bit of time before our flights, and we went over to Lambeau Field and toured Lambeau Field, and it was something else. You can go in there and open it up. Of course, the city of Green Bay owns the football team, so it's very different from where I come from, where Jerry Jones owns just about everything, and you can't even pull in the parking lot without dropping $50 to probably just go look around. But great state of Wisconsin, great people there in Wisconsin, and you know what? They're hardworking people. They're everyday people, Americans. They have seen the effects of this Biden economy on many of them. If you notice at these Trump rallies, and he's doing a great job showing the crowd here, there's a lot of seniors, and seniors have been likely one of the most affected demos that we have for what's been going on. They have been really affected by it because they're on a fixed income. So a lot of times they don't have the ability to go out and just get a second job or a third job or what have you. They're in a tight situation. And so when things go up like they do, rent, car insurance, medical insurance, they can't necessarily just go out and go get, work a couple more hours in overtime. So it does affect them a lot. And I think that's a big factor in this election. There's a lot of, look, I truly feel like there's no one in this industry that probably talks to more average Americans in this MAGA movement than me. We talk to them, our company. We talk to all of our correspondents. We talk to all of them. That's what we do. And they'll tell you that they're hurting. They'll tell you that they are financially struggling. They'll tell you that this is not the country they grew up on. This wasn't the country 10 years ago. This wasn't the country 5 years ago. That's how dramatically it has turned for the worst. And that's why this election, more than ever, matters in so many ways. I mean, we haven't really talked about the disaster foreign policy that Joe Biden has got.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. What a crowd. What a beautiful crowd. A lot of people outside. This is a beautiful arena, but a lot of people outside. We appreciate it very much. This is great. Hello, Wisconsin. How are you, Wisconsin? It's great to be back in this beautiful state, and it is indeed a beautiful state. It's beautiful, with so many proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are. As you know, we'll be holding our convention in Milwaukee just a few months from now. And we can't wait. That means you got to vote for us, because we're spending our money in your state to have the big convention. We had lots of options, and we're coming here. You remember last time, did Biden even show up? I don't think he showed up, right? I don't know. Somebody said he did show up. He was wandering in the parking lot just to make it appear. He said, "Where am I?" "You're in Wisconsin." "Where's that?" But we love Wisconsin. I want to thank Wisconsin GOP Chair Brian Schimming for doing a fantastic job. Where is Brian? Where's Brian? Hello, Brian. Good job. Great job you've done. I hear the numbers are very good, Brian, right? That's because that's the only thing that matters at this point, right? Okay. Thank you, Brian. I think we will. My former chief of staff, a really great guy who loves your state very much, Reince Priebus. Where's Reince? Reince Priebus. Everybody had a hard time with that name. We don't have a hard time with that name anymore. After years of that name, we have no problem with it. Thank you, Reince, very much. National Committee woman, Mary Pat Kruger. Mary Pat, thank you. We just met backstage. Thank you, Mary Pat. And your county executive, if you take a look at Paul Farrow, a great person who's done a fantastic job. Eric Severson, your sheriff. We're not going to mess. Where is Eric? I saw him backstage. He's central casting. I'll tell you, every sheriff should look like Eric. And a special guy, the greatest purchaser of advertising in the history of the world, Mike Lindell. Nobody buys ads like him. Thank you, Mike. With your help, we're going to win Wisconsin this November. We're going to defeat crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. And we're going to make America great again. And it ain't so great right now. It's a laughing stock all over the world, including our colleges, universities. Look at what's happening to our country. And our border. You know what? Some people say they do the colleges so you get your eyes off the border. I said that last night. We're not talking about the border. Millions of people are coming in. Millions of people. And we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. But they're not talking about that now. They're talking about colleges and universities, people that have gone astray. Last week we saw numbers showing clearly that the economy is crashing, with the GOP growth plunging by more than 50% just in this quarter alone. Think of that. We're plunging. We're now in a Biden stagflation. You know what stagflation is? You know what it is? It's the worst. It's worse than inflation. It's worse than deflation. It's the worst. And we're in stagflation right now. Congratulations, everybody, which spells the death of the American dream, and that doesn't even include some of the horrible numbers that we're seeing flowing in from the poor and crime-ridden countries all over the world. They have people flowing in from the poorest and the heaviest crime countries all over the world. Congratulations. They come out of prisons. They come out of mental institutions, and they're coming in to be a neighbor right near you. So congratulations. I don't know how. I think Wisconsin probably, you're very open-minded toward that, right, Wisconsin? Are you open? I don't think so. No, it's terrible. What's happening is terrible. On top of all that, Biden has just declared that if he gets 4 more years, he will drench the middle class in the largest tax increases in the history of our country, vowing repeatedly that he will ensure that the Trump tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts in history, and he says, oh, it's for the rich, not for the rich. It's for companies that employ people, and it's for the middle class. And the people that benefited the most are lower income people. They're the biggest benefit, and he wants them to expire. He'll never be able to replace them. It'll mean that you had the biggest tax increase in the history of our country. So I don't think we're going to let it happen. I don't see any way. If he wins, well, they're trying this weaponization of the Justice Department stuff. So far, that hasn't been working too well because we have the highest poll numbers we've ever had. People get it. But what it all means is under Crooked Joe, a single individual earning $75,000 a year will pay almost $2,000 more in terms of just the tax hike alone, and a family of 4 earning $165,000, that's a lot, dollars a year will see at least $3,000 more added onto your taxes, which are already high. 73% of Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck. That's the highest number ever recorded. Think of that, what that means, though, paycheck to paycheck. So what does that mean? You get fired, you lose your job, you get sick, and you can't live? This is the highest number ever. It's up at a number nobody ever thought they'd see. Yet crooked Joe Biden wants to raise taxes on top of that and raise business taxes, which will lead to the destruction of your jobs. And it's, you know what, ultimately it's just going to lead to the destruction of the country. We have so many negative forces on this country. Uncle Sam is right here. Look at him. You are perfect. This guy's the best. He's like a perfect Uncle Sam. He goes, we need you. That's right. Thank you, Uncle Sam. Get up here for a second. Look at this guy. Man. Wow. He's in good shape. He's in good shape. Thank you, Uncle Sam. Look at this guy.
The last one you signed got lost.
Oh, I'll sign it.
Yeah, anytime.
Give me, I'll sign it. I'll sign it for you. Yeah. He asked me to sign it. I said, I got to make a speech here, Uncle Sam. Good-looking Uncle Sam, though, huh? Give me a pen, somebody. Let's get Uncle Sam taken care of. Come on. Give me a pen. I got to get a pen. Let's go. Yeah, good. Just throw it up there. Give me a pen, please. You think Biden can bend down like that? I don't think so. Where's Uncle Sam? Here's your pen back. Thank you. Uncle Sam. You got it, man. Oh, that's nice. Secret Service. I'll tell you. Secret Service doesn't love that stuff. Do you understand? They're not in love. They're looking like, what's he doing? Don't do this. But it's Uncle Sam, right? He looked good to me. But with me in the White House, we will protect the Trump tax cuts for working families. We will make our middle class stronger, bigger, better, stronger, wealthier, and more prosperous than ever before. We're going to do it quickly, too. It's not going to take a long time. You know, one thing, I was there. I know the good people, I know the bad people, I know the smart ones, the dumb ones, the ones that think they're smart, the ones that don't think they're smart and are smart. I know them too. You got all different types, but I got to know them in 2016. I didn't know anybody. At 20, I learned fast. I know everybody. I know them better than anybody. The Biden job numbers are fake. He's counting people coming back from work. Remember when we had the pandemic, people left. And they'd say, come back in 2 months, 3 months, when this thing goes away, come back. He got those numbers, and he tries to add them on. You call them, you know what they call them? Part-time. They call them fake numbers. They call them bounce-back numbers. You know, it's a bounce-back, automatic. If this young gentleman right in front of me were president, he'd have a bounce-back. They'd say, oh, they were just our numbers. It's an important thing to know. But a lot of the numbers on that just came out on immigration and on employment were illegal immigrants. Almost all of the numbers were from illegal immigrants. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? The illegal immigration that being taken care of better than the people that have been in the country that are desperate for jobs. But when I'm in the White House, the Biden economic bust will quickly be replaced with the Trump economic boom. We're going to replace it. We'll replace it quickly. When I left office, we handed Crooked Joe the fastest economic recovery. It was the fastest recovery, think of this, economically, ever recorded. The stock market was at a record high. The price of gasoline was $2 and even less than that a gallon. Think of that. We had periods of time where it was $1.57, $1.87. How does that sound to you? But under $2 a gallon, the 30-year mortgage rate was at a record low, the lowest ever recorded, $2. Think of this, 2.65%. That's what your mortgage rates were. Now you can't get a mortgage. If you want to pay 8 or 9%, you still can't get them. And we had no inflation. We had no inflation. We had the greatest economy in history. This is, everybody said, this isn't me, this is everybody. We had the greatest, we had no inflation. Today, your inflation's so high, it doesn't matter. If you make money, it doesn't matter. It eats you alive. Inflation is what they call a country buster. You go back 200 years, 300 years to countries with inflation, they got busted. Ask Germany, how was inflation many, many years ago destroyed the country? It is a country buster. And we have record horrible inflation. And now it's getting worse. And now they think they're not going to be able to cut interest rates because it's getting worse. You don't hear that. And they don't talk about it. And the fake news, these people right over here, they don't want to talk about it. But it's getting worse. But then Biden came in and unleashed mayhem on our economy, just like he unleashed mayhem on our border. The border, there's never been anything like this, a border like this. There's never been anything in the world. There's never been a border like this in the history of the world. Using COVID as an excuse, crooked Joe Biden launched the greatest confiscation of middle-class wealth in the history of our country. It's middle-class wealth. He confiscated it. In 3 years, Joe Biden and his party stole trillions of dollars from hardworking Americans and gave it their political, and he gave it all to their cronies in Washington, their heirs-to-be. He gave so much money away, and the Green New Scam, it's the worst scam in the history of our country. They spent $2 trillion, the Green New Scam, the greatest scam in history. They spent $2 trillion on their so-called American Rescue Plan, which wasn't rescuing this country. How is the rescue plan doing? Trillions of dollars wasted, which Obama's economic advisors called the original sin. They actually called it. His advisor said that was the original sin that led to rampant inflation. That's where it began. They spent another $1 trillion on their misnamed Inflation Reduction Act, and then they admitted it really wasn't meant to reduce inflation. They call it the Inflation Reduction Act. Remember when a certain senator said, "I'll approve it," and that was the end of his career? I won't tell you his name was Manchin. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was the end of his career. He was popular. He was getting more and more popular. He started out not so popular for many years. Then he became popular because he was rejecting all of this madness. And then for some reason, he agreed to sign a couple of things that were not good. And it didn't work out too well. $1.2 trillion for their fake infrastructure. He had a package of infrastructure. You take a look at it. It's fake. It's fake and it's horrible. And then all of that money, again, going over to the Green New Scam. Joe Biden's economic plan is to make China rich and America poor. My economic plan is to make America richer than ever before, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. With your vote, we're going to save our economy, and we're going to bring our country back from hell. We have a country that's in hell. Look at what's going on. Look at the crime. Look at the crime. You know, I lost a tenant. They said, "Sir, you lost a tenant, big drugstore, big one, in one of my buildings." And I said, "What's the problem?" This is in New York, but it's happening all over. I don't think it's happening here so much. Maybe it is, actually. In Chicago. Chicago, it's happening. They say, "Sir, we can't keep product." I say, "Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? They can't keep product," they told me. I called the manager, nice guy. I said, "What happened?" He said, "We can't keep product." I said, "Oh, that's good, isn't it?" "No, that's not bad." They're walking in with bags. They're taking it off the shelves. So now they put bars up and they put glass up, and somebody wants to buy toothpaste, and it takes a half an hour for the guy to come. They open up. They give him. How the hell can you make money doing that? Who ever heard of it? If somebody would have told you that 2 or 3 years ago that that's happening, you would have said that's not possible. We knew about 300-400 usually young people walking into department stores and just robbing the place, walking out with television sets. We're going to give our great police, they are great, their power back. And they're going to protect us again. And you know, you saw it last night. That's one good thing that really happened. You saw it last night because New York was under siege last night. And these people, they were intense. And the person that heads up Columbia University was a great school. It's been, badly damaged, I think, reputationally. But the person that heads it up, a woman, she waited so long. She was so weak. She was so afraid. She was so bad. They could have done this with the tents, and it would have gone quickly and no problem. But they did an incredible job. They went into one of the big buildings, a beautiful landmark building. Boy, they got the hell beat out of it last night. You're supposed to take care of those buildings. It took a beating. But the police came in, and in exactly 2 hours, everything was over. It was a beautiful thing to watch. New York's finest. You saw them go up in ladders. You saw them go up in ladders to break in the windows and getting in, and that's dangerous because you don't know what's on the other side of that window. And they went in, they knocked it out, and they were incredible. They did a great job. New York's finest. And, it's like that throughout the country. Chicago, great police. L.A., great police. I know so many of them. I know so many of the top people and the middle people. I see them all over. They're great, and they can do the job. But we have to give them their power back. Where did he come from? All right. Thank you. Go home to mom, right? Go home to your mom. Thank you. Thank you very much. Say hello to mother. Oh, she's going to be angry because she's watching right now on television. She's watching on television. She's saying, that's my son. The Biden inflation. It's interesting when the fake news reports a story. They'll say there was pandemonium. One guy shouts something. I don't even know what the hell he shouted. There was pandemonium. But look, Front Row Joe, he ran back there look at that guy. Front Row Joe. That's good. You ran. When he sees trouble, he runs right into it. Every country needs people like that. Anyway, thank you, Front Row Joe. The Biden inflation disaster is a direct result of Crooked Joe's trillions in wild spending, and that's what's happened. The Biden price hike is a gigantic tax on the likes of which this country, we have never seen anything like it before. In the past 3 years, the average Wisconsin family has lost between $20,000 and $30,000 thanks to Crooked Joe's inflation tax. Think of it. It's an inflation tax. It's a new tax. I just thought of it in the plane coming up here. I never used that expression. I call it Biden inflation tax because if you add what inflation has done to you, that's about a 30% tax increase, and I think even more than that. You could get a pay increase, but your pay increase doesn't nearly overcome what's happened with inflation. So I just came up with a name. I thought it was actually quite brilliant. It's called an inflation tax. We have a new tax, ladies and gentlemen. We have a new tax. It's called an inflation tax, and these price hikes are continuing to drain nearly $1,000 from the typical Wisconsin family every single month. Does that sound like a lot? I think it's a lot. Chicken, I love chicken, is up 24%. Baby food is up 30%. Eggs are up 59%. Gasoline is up 50%, but it's going way higher. Airfares are up 33% without the service that we used to get. And a 30-year mortgage rate just hit 7.6%, one of the highest averages ever. Other than that, we're doing quite well. Do you agree? And the country's going to hell, but then we're doing quite well. We're honored to be joined today by Shaina Gray, who owns a vegan restaurant, supposed to be really good. I'm not into the vegan stuff, I must say, but I'm going to have to try this. When we come here in a short period of time into Milwaukee, we're going to come and try that vegan food. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but she had a big business. Shaina says her business is being brutalized by the soaring cost of food. She's never seen anything like it. And right now, she says things just aren't working. She was doing great 3.5 years ago, she was doing better than she ever did. During the Trump years, she said, I was able to afford things. I wasn't worried about my future. I am now. I'm starting to really worry. The stress and the anxiety are really hurting me. So I'd like to have Shaina come up for a second and say a few words. Thank you. Please, go ahead.
As we spoke before, it is very important that we change what is going on now. None of us can continue to go with the Biden administration. We definitely need to make this House party over. We need Trump in 2024, so make sure you vote Trump 2024.
Thank you. Thank you, darling. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Take care of Mom, right? We'll get it going for you. Thank you. How nice are those two? So that's Shaina's daughter. And think of what it's, I mean, it's just common sense. You know, it's very dangerous to bring people up here from the standpoint, you don't know what the hell they're going to say. We didn't rehearse that, Shaina, right? She could have said, ladies and gentlemen, go vote for Biden. And everybody would just say, that's not a good thing he did. That's not too good. You never know what's going to say. So far, I've never had that problem, but that problem has been had before by others. But I want to thank Shaina. We'll get out, and we're going to go there during, you get ready for me. Maybe you can convince me with that vegan food, okay? You get a good, healthy vegan food. But the choice for Wisconsin is simple. If you want lower costs, higher incomes, and an affordable American dream, then you have no choice but to vote for a gentleman named Donald J. Trump for president. Crooked Joe likes to talk about junk fees, but the biggest junk fee of all, think about it, is all of the 50% Biden inflation tax, and that's what it is. And you just think of it. I mean, if you look at the real numbers of that, it's incredible. And we thought it was 30%, and we were sure it was no more than that. It turns out to be actually 50%. The extra cost you're paying at the grocery counter and the gas pump and all of the other places that you have to go buy no matter what you buy, and that's all taken place within 3.5 years. Think of it. But here's the good news. We have 6 months. Now, with these stupid people running our country, that's an eternity, because you could end up in World War III with this group here. You don't know what's going to happen, but 6 months sounds very short. It's not. Frankly, with them, it's an eternity. But it is not that long a period of time, and we'll be here very quickly, and we're going to have a good time, and we're going to have a great convention, and I'm honored to have chosen your state. We had a lot to do with that. Reince. Yeah. We're honored. Biden has run the government like Robin Hood, essentially in reverse, stealing from the poor and giving it to the rich. That's actually what he does. You know, they talk the game, oh, Trump, Trump, Trump. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. It's like I was saying the other day, the New York Times, every story they write is the exact opposite. They're so untruthful. They take something and make it the opposite. So when you're reading a story, you have to remember, you just do the opposite. It's a terrible thing. It's the same with the Democrats. They say many of the rich people are with Democrats. It's changed. We've become the party of the worker. We become the party of the middle income. It's done a whole flip. Just listen, a few examples of what Biden's inflation taxes really brought. Crooked Joe is spending hundreds of billions of dollars to give $7,500 tax credits to rich people who buy electric cars. What do you think of an electric car? Well, I like Elon, but, the car, and there's a place for electric cars, but you have to have other choices, too. They want to have, by the end of, 5 years from now, by 2030, they want to have, think of this, almost everybody have an electric car, but they don't want them. And they're not selling. And you know, one of the great things people don't know, well, how come they keep getting made? You know why? Because the government, our government, subsidizes the hell out of them. So the car companies are doing okay. They're making cars that aren't selling. They're just not selling. They're giving billions and billions of dollars away in subsidy to create cars that people don't want. And again, I'm all for them. If you want to go to the candy store, buy yourself a little candy and come back home. But if you want to take a trip to a place like Mar-a-Lago to say hello to me, you better get yourself a different mode of transportation. And you know, the scary part about that, they want trucks to be that way, and the trucks have to stop 6 times going to California versus not stopping at all. If you get the diesel, the big diesels. And it's really crazy. It's really crazy when you think of what they do. And they never change. You can explain this to them. You know, 6 stops versus no stop. You don't have to know much more than that. There's one other thing. The battery would take up almost the entire truck. You wouldn't have any room for very much. They want to make our army tanks all electric. So that when we go into a foreign country, blazing hot, we're going in, we keep their environment and their air nice and clean. Now, how crazy is it? Are we crazy? They want to use a certain fuel in airplanes. You know, I bought all brand new, beautiful jet fighters. I rebuilt the whole military. They want to use a certain fuel that brings the jets back down to 15% less efficient. That's a lot. When you have somebody shooting at you on the other side, the 15% is the difference between winning and losing. So I said it's 15%. That's right. Now think of it. We're fighting over enemy territory. We're worried about their carbon content. I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about bringing our people back and winning. We're worried about winning. It's amazing. Even in South Carolina, I visited where, by the way, we beat the governor by a record number, the former governor. They have a great governor there now, actually. But we did great. You know, in the primaries, we won every Iowa, no matter where we went. We won New Hampshire. We go to New Hampshire. We get the most votes in the history of the state of New Hampshire. In the primaries, Republican or Democrat. You know, Kennedys, and they're right up in that territory and all. But Iowa, we won the largest margin. Different, it's a caucus state. We won the largest margin ever by 2. So we won the largest margin, doubled, and then we went to Nevada. We went all over the place. When we got to South Carolina, we won in record fashion. But we won in Nevada in record fashion. Every state we went to, we won in record fashion, and it's really an honor. And then we won the quickest that anybody's ever won. You know, right now, if this was like a normal candidate that you're listening to, or like a normal person, they'd still be campaigning. But we had this thing over with 2 months ago or something. So I just want to thank everybody. That was a great feeling, because there's something in the air. Let's say I haven't changed, and you know what bugs me? When they say, we have 2 very unpopular candidates, Joe Biden, Donald Trump. They're very unpopular. He's unpopular. I'm not unpopular. I'm like at 94% approval in the Republican Party. I'm not unpopular. The fake news. Oh, I hate that. It's terrible. We have 2 very unpopular people running for election. I'm not unpopular. I mean, look at the vote we're getting. We're winning virtually every state. We're winning every swing state. We're winning every national poll. We're not unpopular. I'm unpopular in China. I'm unpopular in some other places where we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs. No other president's taken in 10 cents. They're not, in love with me, but, I love this country. President Xi loves China. And, that's the way it's supposed to be, right? With Putin, interesting, I ended Nord Stream 2. Nord Stream 2 is a pipeline. Nobody ever heard of it before I came along. I ended the pipeline going all over Europe, going to Germany in particular, but all over Europe. I ended it. It was done. Biden came in and he approved it, the biggest deal ever done in Russia. And Putin once told me, he said, you know, if you're supposed to be like a guy, a nice guy, I'd hate like hell to see you as a bad guy. You have been brutal to... Think of ending the biggest economic development job, the biggest thing they've ever done is a pipeline going through all of Europe. I ended it. Biden comes in almost from the first day, he let it go forward. And then they say, Trump is easy on Russia. No, I was very tough in Russia. I got along with Putin very well. I got along with President Xi of China very well. Got along with Kim Jong-un of North Korea very well. And you know what? It's really... Take it easy. I'll tell you, there's a guy I want in the foxhole with me. Now, where is that guy? Where is he? He's a rough-looking guy. I want that guy in the foxhole. We can keep it down a little bit. That's all right, man. That's all right. No, people are angry about it. People are angry. It's like stupid. You know what I say about the party? It's become, with me running it, it's become the party of common sense. Our party, it's the party of common sense. You know, they say, is it conservative? Is it? It is. It's conservative. It's just common sense. There are things that aren't so conservative. We want the party. We want to have a wall, which, by the way, we built 571 miles of wall. We were going to put up another 200. And they came along and they didn't want the 200 miles of wall. They didn't want wall. And that's when I realized they really meant they wanted open borders. Who could ever think? That's a lack of common sense. Why would somebody want to have people pouring into our country, unvetted, unchecked? We know nothing about them. Even from a health standpoint, they're coming in and they have problems. It's sad. But those problems are contagious. Other people will get those problems. Why would anybody want this? It can't be great politically. There are those that say two reasons, but you probably can add a third. They hate our country. They're stupid. But see, they're not stupid because anybody that can cheat that well is not stupid, okay? And the other thing is that they want those votes, you know? And you wouldn't think they could do them that quickly, but they're trying to sign people up that just got here that don't speak a word of English, that have lived in prisons and lived in mental institutions. They want the vote. But I think we're going to swamp them. Look, the way you win is to swamp. I think we're going to swamp. Crooked Joe is spending billions and billions of dollars on hotel rooms for illegal aliens. Think of it. Hotel rooms, luxury hotel rooms in New York and other cities for illegal aliens. And our soldiers, our veterans, are laying on streets and not being taken care of. I will say in the VA, though, in the VA, you know, we had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA, 92%. And now it's gone way down since I had something that, you know, if somebody had it, they would take months and months to get a doctor sometimes. You'd get on there, you have a problem. Sometimes a very important problem that if you fix it fairly quickly, no problem. And if you don't fix it quickly, you become terminally ill and you die. And people are waiting on line for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months. And I made a deal with Congress. I had to get it through Congress that anybody that has to wait more than 24 hours goes outside, goes to a local doctor, we pay the bill, they get themselves fixed up. And it worked. And they're making that impossible. And then also with the veterans, and you have a lot of veterans in this state, it's a big veteran state, but also with the veterans, you know, it's not prime time necessarily for them. And they were getting beat up. We have sadists. We have thieves, sadists, but we had sadists that did bad things to our people, to our heroes, bad things. And we couldn't fire them because of civil service laws and various other reasons. Unions a little bit, but civil service, you couldn't fire them. No matter what they did, they could kill somebody, you couldn't fire them. And they'd beat the hell out of our people. And I was able to fire 9,000 sadists and bad people, get them out and replace them with people that loved our veterans. And It was a whole different place, but it's fairly rapidly morphing back into what it's. I've seen it just the other day. I was talking to somebody. They say they don't like the policy where you go out and get a doctor. And we had negotiated fees with people, because I know doctors, they know how to charge as well as anybody. We had negotiated fees. We actually could save. I mean, there's a scenario under which we actually saved money, but we saved lives, and we made their life better. Could you imagine you're all rich, spoiled people? Not necessarily. You're all rich, spoiled people. Could you imagine wanting to see a doctor over something that you know is simple, but it's got to be fixed? And they say, we can't see you for 3 months. Could you imagine having to wait around for 3 months? Now think of it. Just put yourself in that position. So we took care of those things, and we had the highest approval rating in the history of the Veterans Administration, which was a great tribute. Thank you. We had very good people there. And Joe Biden got rejected last year by the United States Supreme Court on his student loan program, so that what he wanted to do is buy votes. He says to all these people, a lot of people, I mean, honestly, I'm saying that's millions of people. He wanted to buy votes. So he said, we're going to cut your student loan. Now, the problem with that is many of the people here, but, large numbers of people went through years and years to pay off their loan. All of a sudden, this guy comes along, and in order to try and buy an election, I guess I don't blame him, but it's very unfair. But the Supreme Court rejected it. So then he goes in now again with a little smaller version of the same thing. He's going to get rejected. And I'm just saying, I will take care of our students far better than him. We're going to take care of our students. We're going to help our students. We're going to make their life good. But what he did is so terrible. So he didn't obey the decision of the Supreme Court of the United States. And now he's doing another one, which is actually a smaller version, but it's even more bekakt. Okay, it's even worse. So it's really it's a terrible thing. But he's going to be rejected there too. But that's what they do. They do it, and it's very bad for the country. But we're going to take care of our students better than they've ever been taken care of before. I promise you that. If Joe Biden wins this election, the middle class loses. But if Trump wins, the middle class wins. The low income will start their journey toward the American dream. Wisconsin will win, and the biggest winner of all is going to be America. America wins. On day one of my new administration, we're going to throw out Bidenomics, and we're going to replace it with Maganomics. And upon taking office, I will impose an immediate moratorium on all new spending grants and giveaways under the Joe Biden mammoth socialist bills, like the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. We're going to save all that money. It's not helping you at all. It's not doing a thing for you. It's just like a political game. We're going to stop the Biden spending spree. We're going to halt his inflation death spiral. We're going to terminate his Green New scam. It's going to be terminated, and we're going to end this war on American energy. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to bring down your energy costs. We're going to bring down your energy costs like you wouldn't believe. And by the way, that's going to spiral everything else downward. That's what started inflation. You didn't have to be that good a student at the wonderful Wharton School of Finance to know that if your energy cost doubles and triples, it was going up like a level. Now he's gone more or less back to where I was in terms of drilling. He's approving. The day after the election, he would end that immediately, because they have to get some oil out of the ground. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation in the world by far. We started off at number 3 and number 4. We were down in 3s and 4s generally, and we ended up number 1 by a lot, over Russia and over Saudi Arabia. And we were doing great, and we were going to use all that money we were making to start reducing debt and lowering taxes still further. But he ended it, and then they did a crack course on let's do something. Remember, he took all the oil. It's the lowest level it's ever been. The strategic reserves. He took the oil out of the strategic reserves so that people could fill up their car with a tank of gas and not get totally destroyed, because it was just before the election. So he took all this oil, and it's meant for fighting wars. It's meant for major emergencies, catastrophic emergencies. It's not meant for helping to get the price down 15 cents a gallon so that you can try winning an election. And now the strategic reserves are the lowest they've ever been. That tells you something what's happening here. To further crack down on rampant waste in the federal government, we're going to bring back Presidential Impoundment Authority, which nobody knows what it is, but it allows the president to go out and cut things and save a fortune for our country, things that make no sense. And there's so many of them. We have so much waste. We're also going to reclaim America's heritage as the great manufacturing nation, and we were doing that. We were doing that. I remember when Biden said, well, this isn't a manufacturing nation. We became a great nation because of manufacturing. It is a manufacturing, but they've let other countries steal all of everything. When I was president, we brought thousands and thousands of manufacturing jobs back to Wisconsin, and I delivered a major shipbuilding contract to build a new combat ship. You know Marinette? Marinette Marine. Marinette Marine likes me. Everybody wanted that contract. I brought it to Wisconsin to build lots of, 28, a lot of ships, and they were beautiful. You know what I called them? They were so gorgeous. I called them yachts with guns on them. They had more guns than I've ever seen. They had everything. But they were beautiful. I even helped design a little bit. I said, you got to do me a favor, change that bow a little bit, couple of bucks more. But it is beautiful, and they've done a great job. But we got it to Marinette, so that was very important. Everybody wanted it. Every state that did that kind of work, which is quite a few, they wanted it. Under Biden, 0 manufacturing jobs were created in the month of March. You know that, right? 0. I don't think that's ever happened. 0, it's hard to do 0. Just weeks ago, Master Lock closed down. I used to use Master Lock all the time. When I was a little child, I'd take Master Lock, I'd go bing, lots of nice little puzzles, you put them together. I always wanted to see, could I break it? You could, but it was not easy. But Master Lock closed down its century-old plant in Milwaukee and sent their jobs to Mexico and China. Does everyone know that? Master Lock, that was a staple of your state, and they closed down. That would never have happened with me. I would have told them, if you're going to do that, that's fine, but we're going to pay 100% tariff on any lock you make to send in. You can't do that. Bidenomics is also ravaging America's seniors, and the Biden inflation tax is a fact. I mean, it's just, it's going to end up cutting Social Security by allowing millions and millions, which is not sustainable, of people coming into our country through the southern border. And many, many really bad ones, okay? Many, many bad ones. You're going to destroy Social Security. You're going to destroy Medicare. You're going to destroy the fabric of the country. It's not sustainable. It's not affordable by any country. And they're going to destroy our country. So we're going to have the largest deportation in the history of our country. We have no choice. And we start with the bad one. We start with the bad ones, and there's plenty of them. As even fake news CNN right back there now admits. There goes. Oh, the camera's going off. Don't turn it off. The camera just went off. I thought I got him there, Mr. Chairman. I thought I got him. Every time I say that, I see the camera going. I have to say it quickly, so I get him, and then they turn the... The cost of living adjustments under Biden are not even close to keeping up with the taxes, and Crooked Joe with his insane border policies will destroy. And he is going to destroy. You know, to have Social Security and Medicare, you have to have a strong country, and we don't have a strong country anymore. We have a country that's failing. We have a failing nation. We are in a failing nation. If this were another country, they'd say this is a failing nation. It's a nation in decline. As president, I will always protect Social Security and Medicare for our great seniors, 100%. 100%. And by the way, while we're on it, it was always the plan from the great legal experts of this country and even the world, but from the great legal experts to everybody, Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, they wanted to get abortion out of the federal government. Everybody wanted that. That was uniform. Then about 10 years ago, people lost their way. They started talking about, How many months? What do you think? What do you do? What do you do? What kind? Where does it take place? And they forgot the original aim was to take abortion out of the federal government and move it into the individual states and let the people decide. And we were able to do that. After 53 years, we were able to do that, and now you'll see it. It's rather, generally, look, some people will be very happy, some people won't be as happy, but time will make this. It's really been incredible. And some of the decisions, I mean, frankly, there are some very conservative states that voted a very much more liberal policy than anybody would have thought. Very liberal policy. A couple of states I won't mention, but a couple of states really surprised people. But basically, the states decide on abortion. And people are absolutely thrilled with the way that's going on. Every state's different, every state. But remember, from the standpoint of what's happening, nobody wants to see abortion in the 8th month, the 9th month, or nobody wants to see it after birth, because you have a situation where the Democrats will allow it in the 7th, 8th, 9th month, and will allow execution of a baby even after birth. I mean, they actually have a standard. You remember the former governor of Virginia, he said, we put the baby down and we decide. The baby is born, we put the baby down and we decide whether or not, essentially, to kill the baby. So what's happened is now the states decide, and they're going to votes in different states, and it's been an amazing process, and it was something that was very important to get done. But we had to take the radicalism, and the radicalism was really the Democrats, because when you can do abortion or killing or execution at that point in a life cycle, you just can't do that. But now states are deciding, and some people are unhappy because it's too liberal a policy or too conservative policy, but we brought it back into the states where it has to be, and over a period of time that works out. And it's taken a lot of the controversy out, and it's been a good thing. And you also have to remember, as a politician, you also have to get elected. Because if you don't get elected, it goes back into the federal government, perhaps, and then you have one policy that's not going to work. But you have to get elected. You have to go with your heart. I always say, very important, you have to go with your heart. You have to do what's right. But you also have to get elected. Because if you don't get elected, a lot of bad things will happen beyond the abortion issue. A lot of very bad things will happen, from taxes to military to everything else. So it's been very interesting to see the process. And again, some states have been pretty much right there where they want to be. Other states have gone far more liberal in that sense than they wanted to be, and some were more conservative. And they have some votes coming up now, and the people are going to activate, and they're going to work in their state. But I think it's a very important thing, and we did something that took courage, but it's something that everybody wanted to see. They wanted to bring it back, and now I say it's up to the state. They'll ask me a question about it. I say that's up to the state. So I say to you, I think we did a very good job in that. A lot of people are very happy with it, and we did the right thing for our country. You think that was on the teleprompter? I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I thought it was a good thing to talk about. We're here with a great group of patriots, and I think it's a very important thing to talk about, frankly, and we'll talk about it more and more. But it's really been a process that's been quite amazing to watch, and I think very positive for our country. But we're going to immediately seal the border. We're going to stop the invasion. We're going to send Joe Biden's illegal aliens back home where they belong. We're going to send them back home where they belong. In addition to criminals, drugs, terrorists, mental patients, Joe Biden's border catastrophe is also bringing colossal costs. Unbelievable costs are being brought in by this catastrophe on our border. Crooked Joe is flooding our country with millions and millions of low-wage migrants from crime-ridden countries all over the world. This isn't just South America. They're coming from all over the world. Last week, 22 from the Congo in Africa. They're coming from Africa. They're coming from Asia. They're coming from the Middle East. We're bombing Yemen. Here we go again with the bombs, right? A phone call could solve the problem in about 2 minutes if you had a president that knew what the hell to say. Here we go with those bombs. Let's drop bombs. Let's kill everybody. That's what they say. Let's go and kill everybody. $1 million a bomb, each bomb. Average price, $1 million. Let's bomb the hell out of these countries that don't want to be bombed. You can make a deal. I made deals. You know, he never got into a war with me. I beat ISIS in record time. We never got into a war. With this guy, you'll end up in World War III. You'll end up in World War III, I'll tell you what. This next 6 months is going to be very scary. You could end up in World War III with this person in there. He's a grossly incompetent man. Over the last period of time, you know, it's funny, I wouldn't have said that. But then something happened that was really horrible. I got indicted. I'm a president of the United States. And I got indicted. Now think of it, for nothing. In fact, if you read Andrew McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, the great Mark Levin, you read Greg Jarrett today, he did an incredible piece. You read any of these, Alan Dershowitz, they all said, and these are not fans of mine necessarily, they're not. They all said, there's no crime, he didn't do anything wrong. I've never seen anything. You know, usually they say, well, what do you think about this, that? There's no crime. Now, I have a crooked judge. He's a totally conflicted judge. And I come, you know, unfortunately, it's a 95% or so Democrat area. Other than that, things are wonderful. But it's about a 95% Democrat area. But something happened when that happened. And then I got indicted again. And then I got indicted again. And then I got indicted by Fonnie with her boyfriend. I call her Fonnie Wade. Her boyfriend's name is Wade. And she hired her because of his expertise in this particular form of law, right? He was an expert. He never did it before, but he was an expert. He got paid almost $1 million, got indicted. So I got indicted 4 times. Then I have civil trials, too, all coming out of the White House, everything, like a third world country. And the good news is people get it. Most importantly, people get it, and my poll numbers are higher than they've ever been. I mean, higher than they've ever been. But no, higher than they've ever been. But when that happened, you know, I was not that tough on Biden. I felt he was a grossly incompetent person. I felt he was a very corrupt person. But I wouldn't go around and say what I say now. Once I got indicted the first time, I got indicted 4 times. Think of it, 4 times for nothing. They say J6. J6, Nancy Pelosi didn't call in the police. I said, I will send you 10,000 soldiers. She didn't want them. And the mayor of Washington, in writing, didn't want them. And by the way, the hoax committee that they set up, I call it the Unselect Committee. It's an I always like that term, the Unselect. But the Unselect Committee damaged and threw out all of the evidence. Did you know that? And nobody does anything. Nobody does anything. If a Republican did that, they'd get the electric chair. They destroyed the evidence. They deleted everything. So now all of those people that said, yeah, Trump wanted to give 10,000, like the head of the police department, the head of the military, it's all been damaged, deleted, and destroyed. Now think of that. And you don't even read about that story. They destroyed it. The chairman of the committee, this real lowlife, we have to go after Donald Trump. He destroyed all the evidence. He actually destroyed it and deleted everything. If you're in a regular civil court case, and if you get rid of stuff, they take very serious umbrage at that. You go to jail for things like that. And this committee destroyed everything. Remember the person that said, I attacked a Secret Service agent in the front of the car? It's not my deal. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Remember that? And these are tough guys. You know, these Secret Service guys, I hate to admit it, they're slightly younger than me. Just slightly. It's very hard because, you know, you also have metal bars and a couple of things you have to get through. No, but didn't she say something like, I grabbed the guy at the wheel and grabbed him around the neck? And I was slightly rebuffed because I'm so strong. I could only be slightly. And then I grabbed the man on the right, who I think was a black belt in karate or something and like 30 years old. I grabbed the man on the right and I had, this is crazy stuff. I sat in the back. And you know what I did say? I said, I'd like to go down there because I see a lot of people walking down. They said, sir, it's better if you don't. I said, well, I'd like to. I'd better if you don't. All right, whatever you guys think is fine. That was the whole tone of the conversation. Instead, they'd be, I want to go down there. These people are crazy. And then I think she changed her testimony. You heard that because the people testified that none of this stuff happened. But a friend of mine said, you shouldn't fight that because I gained such respect. I didn't know that you were that strong and that tough, that you would take on a black belt in karate or whatever the hell he was. A very tough guy, I can tell you that. There were muscles all over the place, on his ears, on his neck. If I grabbed him around the neck, I'm not even sure he'd feel it. He might not feel it. Now, these people are crazy, but they destroyed all of that evidence so that now we don't have the evidence of what she said, I guess. These people are criminals. These people are criminals. And you know, I say this because I love this state. I love this group of people. I'm talking to you. So far, I've been 92% off teleprompter and 8% on teleprompter. But isn't it nice? Thank you. But isn't it nice to have a president who doesn't need a teleprompter? Not that he can read it anyway. He can't read it. Now think if I read my teleprompter and I'm going, well, let's see, because of the weakness in the economy, I'd like to apologize. Pause. 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 What was that? That's unbelievable. Pause. You know, I was watching it. I said, that was weird. They actually don't have pause in my teleprompter, you know? They have a blank space that's like you see. If there's a response. If there's no response, you just keep going. You don't have pause. Some speechwriter's saying pause, they're not going to know. You know, some of the things that people like the best, that get the biggest applause, you think of deadlines, right? Like Drain the Swamp. I hated it. I hated the line. I said, when I first started, because we did Drain a lot, I got rid of Comey, I got rid of so many people, but it is deep. But listen, Drain the Swamp. I used to go, we will drain the swamp. I used to sort of like, yeah. The people used to go crazy, and after a while, I got to like it. You know, Frank Sinatra never liked the song My Way. But after a while, he told me, after a while, he got to love it because it was just something that people reacted to well. So there are things that when you do this stuff, you don't think it's going to necessarily be great. Like we had a lot of nicknames. I was the king of nicknames. Somehow I was the king. It worked. I won't go over most of them because many of them are friends of mine now. You know, I can't really bring them back. I bring back bad memories. But the nicknames are good. What do you like better, Crooked Joe or Sleepy Joe? They're both accurate. What do you like better? He says criminal. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, ready? We'll go Sleepy and then what? Wait. You applaud if you like it. We'll go Sleepy first and then Sleepy Joe, Crooked Joe. That Crooked Joe is a bad guy. I thought it was going to be a lot closer than that. Wow. Well, you know, I used to call Hillary, and it was accurate, but I used to call Hillary crooked, and I changed it, moved it over. Well, that's very good. That's a cheap poll. You know, normally you'd spend $150,000 with these pollsters, some of which are good, but some of which are... They'll take $150,000. They won't even go into the field. They'll just say, let's see, let's tell them it's about 40 to 30, and let's say that 30% are undecided, you know, and they won't have left their office. And so this way I get an accurate poll. That's a very accurate poll. That's more accurate than some pollsters going to get me. Although I like pollsters right now because we're leading in all the polls. So right now I like pollsters. The radical extremists and far-left agitators are terrorizing college campuses, as you possibly noticed, and Biden's nowhere to be found. He hasn't said anything. But they're his political base. Do you think if he did say, okay, look, let's not kid ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, President Biden is coming to give you his words of inspiration. Now, does anybody think that it will be so inspiring that everybody will say, oh, we have to go home. We love our country. No. They'll say, do you believe the guy that's the president of that country? This guy, he is, yeah, he needs something. Now think of it, but he hasn't been heard from. You know, he's the president. When you have a problem like that, you should go out and talk about it and talk to the people. But there's a big problem, there's a big fever in our country, and he's not talking, but if he did, it wouldn't matter. In fact, I think it would actually make it worse. Many of them aren't even students, you know, and many of them come from foreign countries. You know, thousands and thousands are from foreign countries. I was wondering about that. I'm saying, where did these people come from? To every college president, I say, remove the encampments immediately, vanquish the radicals, and take back our campuses for all of the normal students who want a safe place from which to learn. But when you see that video of raging lunatics and Hamas sympathizers at Columbia and other colleges, no, but when you look at it, I say, where did these people come from? I don't know people like that. I mean, I deal with a lot of people. Where do they come from? And they do come from other countries, and they are paid. You know, I said something last night. I did the great Sean Hannity. Has anyone ever heard of Sean Hannity? He had to do 2 hours last night instead of one. He went through it like it was nothing. You know, he's a professional. He's a good guy, too. But I said the other day, I said, you know, do you ever notice the signs? Normally, in the old days, when you had a real protest, not financed by Soros or whoever might finance it, when you had a real protest where people meant it, they'd go down in their garage basement and they'd start making a sign, and they'd all be there. Every sign was a perfect printed sign, green, with a perfect, beautiful post. Everything was the best money could buy. They all have the same. They were handed those signs by people. You know, at least they should make them a little different lettering, different colors, but they don't. No, it's a whole big hoax going on, but it's a shame. And Biden should speak out. He should speak out. He should say something, because nobody knows where he is. He's definitely against Israel, but I don't think, she said he has no idea where he is. That's... I remember Chris Christie. He really liked me quite a bit, right? That's only because I was wise to him. And somebody screamed out, "He's a fat pig." And I said, "Sir," and you know you're not allowed to use the fat word. If you use the fat word, you're essentially out of politics, right? There are certain words you can't. You can say obese, but you can't say fat. I think obese is probably worse. But you can't use the fat. But a person shouted out, "He's a fat pig, sir." And I said, "Sir, never, ever call Chris Christie a fat pig, ever. He is not a fat pig. Please, I'll have to ask you to leave the room." So anyway, it's called having a little fun on the campaign trail in Wisconsin, right? But it should be no surprise that in addition to the millions and millions of people invading our country from the border, Crooked Joe is now reportedly planning, this is wonderful news for you people in Wisconsin, to bring massive numbers of Gazans from the Middle East, all live to your American towns, your towns and villages. Your towns and villages will now be accepting people from Gaza, lots of people from Gaza, and various other places, Yemen, lots of other places. You know, just let the world simmer down a little bit, please. He's now delivering thousands. He just announced last night he's going to deliver thousands of people to a town near you. Joe Biden seems he's just determined to create the conditions for an October 7th style attack right here in America. It's going to happen with all of these people coming in from the southern border, and you know. And you saw the 2 months ago where it was announced, here we are, they're trying to maybe stop. And Border Patrol's incredible, by the way, and ICE is incredible. They want to stop it, but they're told not to. Stand down, they're told. But did you see where, and nobody knew this, that for a year and a half they've been actually flying planes in and landing in towns all over the country, and they're flying them in by the thousands. They're flying them in going over the border. They are flying them in. Who would believe it? It's common sense, right? Who would believe it? Who would ever think a thing like that could happen? And we're a country that's so troubled, and that a thing like that could happen. They will be impossible to vet. And as a result of chain migration, the numbers will quickly explode beyond all control. It's going to be out of control because under chain migration, they can bring everybody they ever touched. Under no circumstances should we bring thousands of refugees from Hamas-controlled terrorist epicenters like Gaza to America. We just can't do it. You know, we also have to run our country. It's nice to be nice. It's nice to be good. We got to run our country. Our country's in trouble. Our country might not survive. I'll tell you what, if we don't win this election, I don't think our country's going to survive. I will say it. And I've never said that publicly, I don't think. But I felt it for a long time. I actually think our country's not going to survive. There are plenty of neighboring Muslim countries to take them. They should take them. They don't want them, by the way. They don't want them. They don't want them. We do not need a jihad in the United States of America. We do not need our once great cities to become hotbeds of terrorism. And on day one of the Trump presidency, I'm restoring the travel ban, suspending refugee admissions, and keeping terrorists the hell out of our country, like I had it before. I had it before. We had it so good. You know, when Biden went to the beach all the time, he'd go to the beach Tuesday, Wednesday. One of his idiot consultants said he looks good in a bathing suit. He's 81 years old. Historically, Cary Grant didn't look good at 81 in a bathing suit. But he's 81 years old. He doesn't look good in a bathing suit. Not a lot of people look good in a bed. That's okay, but somebody thought he looked good. But then he couldn't lift the chair. You know those chairs are meant for children to lift. They weigh about 4 ounces, right? You know, they're made out of hollow aluminum. Really light. In fact, if you're heavy, they crash. They bend in. They don't weigh much. And he was... And then he couldn't get his feet out of the sand. This is not a good look. But all he had to do is leave our border alone, and he would have been in much better shape. We had the best border ever in the history of our country. In fact, there was a report that came out 2019. We had no terrorists reported, not one, which I think is wrong. Even I say I don't think you could do, but we had not one. Now we have thousands of terrorists coming into our country. All he had to do is leave my people there, leave the border alone. It was a total win. It was the best it's ever been. But he decided to give it up. I had a thing called stay in Mexico. You think that was easy? You couldn't come into our country. You had to stay. You think that was easy to get with Mexico? I had it, and I had it rough. It was rough stuff. I got it, and he ended it. No more stay in Mexico. It's stay in this country, and we find out who you are in 6 years. You come back for a trial, nobody comes back. It's a horrible thing that he's done. He's destroying our country. He may have destroyed. We will get it fixed. We'll get it fixed as fast as humanly possible, maybe faster than anyone can even understand. But he's destroying our country. And don't forget, we've seen, and I'm not sure if many of you are big travelers or not, but we've seen what happened when Europe opened their doors to jihad. Look at Paris. Look at London. They're no longer recognizable. And I'm going to get myself into a lot of trouble with the folks in Paris and the folks in London. But you know what? That's the fact. They are no longer recognizable. And we can't let that happen to our country. We have incredible culture, tradition. Nothing wrong with their culture, their tradition. We can't let that happen here, and I'll never let it happen to the United States of America. When I was president, I delivered 4 years of peace and prosperity. It's on my record, very easy to check. You know, when I ran in 2015, actually, most of the campaign in 2015 going into 2016, but when I ran, I didn't have a record. I mean, I had a record. I did great in business. I was a really good businessman, much better than, you know, if you listen to these idiots. But I did great. I mean, it did to this day. But you know what? I didn't have a record for running a country or anything. Now I do. I have a great record. We had peace. We had prosperity. We had no wars. We had no wars. I defeated ISIS. I was the only president in 78 years that started no wars. We didn't have a war. We defeated ISIS, which they said was going to take 5 years, and I did it immediately in 1 month. I want to just tell you, our military is incredible. Not the guys you see on television. What happened in Afghanistan is the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, but our military is incredible. Now we have chaos, mayhem, and we have death all over. It's no wonder Joe Biden and his thugs are so desperate to stop us. They know that we are the only ones who can stop them. They know that. We're the only ones that can stop them. All of this persecution is only happening because I'm winning, I'm running, and I'm winning, and I'm winning by a lot. If I wasn't running, or doing well, if I wasn't running, I wouldn't have more indictments than the great Alphonse Capone. Alphonse Capone. He killed people if they looked at him a little bit different. I don't like the way that guy looks. I don't like, kill that son of a bitch. He only got indicted once, I understand. Alphonse Capone, nice gentleman. I got indicted. Can you imagine my mother and father saying, I can't believe it. My son got indicted more than Al Capone. Scarface, for those of you that aren't familiar with the name Scarface. A scar from here to there. And it wasn't from playing tiddlywinks, was it, huh? In the latest Emerson poll, we're up 5 points in Wisconsin, and we're leading virtually every swing state by a lot. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election in 2024. We won't have a country left. And every time the radical left, Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. Thank you very much. Because I'm being indicted for you. I'm being indicted for you. I greatly appreciate it. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. I'm never going to let it happen. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in the way, and I always will. And from the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe we're going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We can turn it around again. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, shortly after we win the presidency, and it's we all together, it's a we, it's not me, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. I will get it settled quickly. Horrible war. Would have never happened if I was president. And by the way, October 7th, Israel would have never happened. Iran was broke. They had no money for terrorists, for Hamas, for Hezbollah. We will restore peace through strength like we're supposed to. We're supposed to be strong and powerful, and you don't have to use it just because you have it. I rebuilt the entire military. You don't have to use it because we have it. Kill people all over the place. Horrible, horrible. Spend billions and billions of dollars doing things for other countries that hate you. They don't even want you there. We're going to rebuild our cities and become a beacon of hope, safety, beauty, better than ever before. We're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to work with Democrat mayors who are running, in every instance, running them. Democrat mayors and many Democrat governors. And we're going to rebuild our cities. We're going to bring them back like they used to be. And we're going to make them safe places again. We're going to give our police their power back. And we're going to give them immunity from prosecution. So they're not prosecuted for doing their job. We'll take over the horribly run capital of our country, Washington, D.C., and clean up, renovate, and rebuild our capital city so that it's no longer a nightmare of murder and crime, but rather it will become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world. On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children. I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or mask mandate. I will fully uphold our under siege Second Amendment. It is under siege like never before. We will protect innocent life, and we will restore free speech rapidly. And I will do something that's very important to me, maybe more important to me than any other person in the world. I will secure our elections, because you know what happened in 2012. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and voter ID. And we have a lot of checks and balances and a lot of things that they did, but we have a lot of checks and balances. But I'll tell you the best, we want to have a landslide that's too big to rig. You ever hear the expression? Too big to rig. There's a level at which they can't rig it, right? We got to get out and vote. We got to get out and vote. You got to November 5th. November 5th. It will be the most important day in the history of our country. That's where we are. That's where we are. You know, I used to talk in 2016, and I didn't have to do it in 2020 because we had the country in great shape, and then we went on to some incredible time. But I used to talk about 2016, that this is the most important election in the history of our country, and I meant it. That's nothing compared to what's happening now, because I didn't think we're going to lose our country. Now we're going to lose our country. And we had a bad border, but the bad border was like beautiful compared to what we have right now. We had a bad border, I fixed it. And I go out and make speeches. I say, I want to talk about the border. And people didn't really respond because I fixed it. I did such a good job on the border. I fixed it. Nobody wanted to hear about it. My people said, sir, nobody cares about the border. I said, what do you mean? I got elected on the border practically. I fixed it and made it so good that I couldn't even talk about it for 2020. But it didn't matter because I got millions more votes in 2020 than I got in 2016. People don't want to talk about that. Millions and millions. I got more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country, and I got a bigger margin. You know, a lot of times a guy would either get elected, not get elected the second term, but they'd almost always get less votes. You know, you get bored with him. You get bored. You don't want him. You don't like him, but he could win. Like, if you look at Obama, he got far less votes. No, he got far less votes in the second election than he got in the first election. Far less. Millions fewer. I got many millions of votes more. It was unprecedented. The largest vote ever for a sitting president. And they say we lost. No, we didn't lose. We didn't lose. If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done. Most destructive. Think of it. And I used to say 5. I increased it to 10. I think I could go way beyond that. Think of it. You take the 10 worst ever, add them up. They're not as bad as Biden. So if you want to save America, get every common sense person you know, get them and register Republican. You got to register Republican and you'll vote, Mr. Chairman. Right? We've got a great chairman. Thank you. Thank you. But look at the enthusiasm, Chairman. Look at the incredible enthusiasm we have. You know, they're going to get out. We're going to do this. This is going to be the greatest election. Thank you. This is going to be the greatest election ever. It's going to be the greatest ever. And it will be the most important day in the history of our country. But together we're taking on some of the most menacing forces and vicious opponents our people have ever seen. And in conclusion, it doesn't matter how hateful and corrupt the communists and criminals are, these communists and fascists and wherever the hell they come from, nobody even knows. And some are homegrown and they're right here in our government, and you've seen plenty of them. I say the enemy from within and the enemy on the outside. I think that, frankly, the enemy from within is more dangerous to our country than China and Russia and others. I feel that. Because if you have a president that knows what he's doing, he can handle China and Russia. But these people are crazy. And the enemy from within is very dangerous. Criminals that nobody can believe, and we will take care of business. We're going to do the right job. We're going to be fair to everybody. We're going to do the right job. And our revenge, you know, they say, oh, this is a revenge tour for Trump. It's not a revenge tour. Revenge is going to be our great success. What we're going to do is success. We're going to have such success that it's going to turn that word revenge. There's not going to be any revenge. We're going to make this country so successful again. It's going to be so successful. That will be our revenge. That's going to be our revenge. This is your home. This is your heritage. And our American liberty is your God-given right. It's your God-given right. And you're going to have it. From La Crosse to Kenosha, from Greenfield to Green Bay. Green Bay, we love Green Bay. And from Madison till Milwaukee, we'll see you in a little while, Milwaukee. We inherit the legacy of Wisconsin patriots who have braved incredible dangers to carve out a life in a vast and beautiful and wild frontier. We stand on the shoulders of American giants who crossed the oceans, explored the continent, settled the Great Plains, won the Wild West, laid down the railroads, those great, great railroads, raised up the incredible skyscrapers, conquered the skies, fought 2 world wars and won decisively, mastered spaceflight, and made America into the single greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. So sad to say, we are in trouble. We are a failing nation. We're a nation that has lost its confidence, lost its willpower, and lost its strength. We're a nation that has lost its way. But we are not going to allow this horror to continue. 3 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it's hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. You're going to save our country. We're all going to save our country. We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. Final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. And we will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media. We will drain the swamp. And we will liberate our country from these tyrants and villains once and for all. Like those patriots before us, we will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield, we will never give in, we will never give up, we will never, ever, ever back down. With your support, we will go on to victory, the likes of which no one has ever seen before, and we will evict crooked Joe Biden, the worst ever, from the White House on November 5th, 2024. It is the most important day. The great silent majority is rising like never before, and under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you, Wisconsin.
wraps up our coverage there in Waukesha, Wisconsin. President Trump delivering a great message that, you know what, better days are ahead, and we can say goodbye to Bidenomics and a little bit more prosperity in this country. We can get rid of these disastrous policies under the Biden administration. Programming note, after this, stay tuned, because Vanessa Broussard, Scott DeFalco are live in Michigan, where President Trump will be jumping on his plane, flying over to Michigan for yet another event, a big rally there in Michigan. She'll have all, Vanessa and Scott will have all the details and all the live action on the ground coming from Michigan. We do want to thank our partners for today, the Birch Gold Group. They are crucial right now. When you look at your investing and your savings, your 401ks, they'll show you how to convert an existing 401k, an IRA, into a gold-backed IRA. It's easy to do, tax shelters as well. Go check it out, Birch Gold Group. Text the words Trump to 989898. That is the Birch Gold Group. Also, our friends over at Debt Traps. I love it. Donewithdebt.com. Donewithdebt.com. Do not struggle with going further and further in debt. These guys will help you get out of debt the clean way, avoiding bankruptcy and things like that. Donewithdebt.com. Their consultants are standing by right now to talk to you about a better financial future. Also, freetrumpbook.com, freetrumpbook.com. We could talk about all the accomplishments of President Trump all day long, but you can read about him as well. Free book, just got to pay a small shipping and handling fee, but it's all there. freetrumpbook.com. Great illustrations, great gift for any school, library, community center, church, grandkids, your own kids, or heck, even get one for yourself. freetrumpbook.com. Also, our friends over at MyPillow, Mike Lindell kicked this whole show off earlier in part of the pre-show there. Go to mypillow.com/RSBN. I said this earlier. If you got kids going off to college for the first time, I can promise you they're going to tell you that their dorms, the bunk beds in their dorms are horrible. Get them a mattress topper right now. Trust me on this. Go to the website, mypillow.com/RSBN. Do not forget to put that code in there. You'll save on some items up to 66%, maybe more on some of their clearance items. mypillow.com. Don't forget to go to our website as well, rsbnetwork.com, rsbnetwork.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Grace Saldana does an excellent job, probably the best in this industry, of getting the news to you, delivered on the stuff that matters to you. Not a bunch of garbage. We're not going to spam you with articles that you don't really care about. They're articles that are trending here on the Hill and around this country, rather. Go check it out. Go sign up for our newsletter. You can also donate at the same site, rsbnetwork.com/donate for that as well. You can donate one time. You can have a reoccurring donation as well. It's safe and secure. rsbnetwork.com. You can also follow me on social media at Brian Glenn TV across the board, at Brian on Truth Social. And don't forget to follow us across the network as well. All right, from our studios here in D.C., thanks to our special friends at Rumble. Love these guys. They have been there with us when we needed them the most. And I always go back to that story in New York City. We were on another streaming platform and we got kicked off for saying certain things. Well, guess who? Guess who came to the rescue on all of this? And it was Rumble. And we certainly appreciate them as we enjoy this studio that we're in here today. All right, don't forget, coming up after this broadcast, Vanessa Broussard, Scott DeFalco have it live from Michigan for you. Plus, we possibly have some stuff tomorrow in New York City. We'll talk more about that on our social media platforms. Until next time, everybody, goodbye and God bless.
Parents and grandparents, the 2024 Kids Guide to President Trump is here, and it's free. As a bonus, your child gets a free issue of Everbright Kids Magazine and Activity Book, and a free video lesson. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
What's up, guys? My name is Jaden Hurd, and I'm the host of the Let It Be Heard show here on RSBN channel. I would love for you guys to check me out. I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Rumble, YouTube. We release episodes every single week regarding culture, Bible, social issues, politics, current events, anything. So if you're into any of that stuff, I highly recommend you check me out. God bless you guys, and stay safe out there.
I'm excited to announce we're having a huge MyPillow spring sale, and here's a few examples. Buy one of our MyPillow 2.0s, you get another MyPillow 2.0 absolutely free. Made with cooling technology, the best pillow ever just got even better. And this just in, 9 brand new colors and styles of our Percale bed sheets. They're made with the finest long staple cotton, and now you can save 50% or more. That's as low as $24.98. And for the first time this year, I'm bringing you our My Slippers and Sandals for as low as $25 a pair. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your MyPillow 2.0s. Buy one, get one free. Percale sheets as low as $24.98. My Slippers and Sandals as low as $25 a pair. And for a limited time, when you order $75 or more, your entire order ships absolutely free.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, tvOS, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.